Chapter 27:16, Critical Moment 3. Chapter 27:16, Critical Moment 3. If we hadn't followed you, we would never have walked into this tunnel. And if we hadn't walked into this tunnel, we would never have run into so many worms. It's all your fault. You're going to get us killed. Cheng Fong was dumbfounded. Shan Jingfei said. Your paper crane can't be trusted. We shouldn't have followed it. Cheng Fong tried to explain. We can trust it. It knows the way. Feng Wu gave it to me, and told me I could lead you out of the cave, if I just followed the bird. We can get to the formation core. Shan Jingfei smirked and glanced at Yi Han. Yi Han immediately slapped Cheng Fong. Cheng Fong was shocked. Yi Han, you. Yi Han was furious. Cheng Fong, you idiot. Cheng Fong didn't know what he had done wrong. Yi Han said, Did you say Feng Wu gave you the paper crane? Have you forgotten the grudge she holds against us? How can you trust her? Fine, you can trust her if you want to, but why did you bring us into it? That paper crane can lead us out of here and take us to the core? Do you even hear yourself? Feng Wu hates Shan Jingfei and me. She would kill us at the first opportunity. She wouldn't lead us somewhere safe. Plus, she's only human. She can't predict where we are, nor does she know the core. If she finds the formation core, she'll let that paper bird take us in the opposite direction. She'll send us to some worm nest. She doesn't know where the core is. She's simply making things up. In a word, she's evil. You didn't tell us in the beginning that the crane came from Feng Wu. Cheng Fong was overwhelmed by everything she said. I wanted to tell you, but you would shout at me as soon as I mentioned her name. Yi Han said, You knew it then. Cheng Fong, can't you tell that Feng Wu wants to kill us? You're her accomplice. Cheng Fong was almost in tears. No, it's not like that. Feng Wu really can. Yi Han wanted to choke him. Xian Jishuan frowned. Stop it. Help us with the worms. We can't hold them back much longer. Xueqing team was resting, and the remaining 6 people in the group weren't nearly as capable. They had to work together just to fight off one worm. Luckily, the tunnel was narrow, and the worms could only come in one at a time. Otherwise, they would have long been dead. It was easy to fight off the worms at first, but there were so many of them. Killing one worm didn't make any difference. When one fell, another would take its place. The worms learned from their failure. The worm at the front would push the dead body back, so that the other worms could chew on it. It would then have direct access to human flesh. Yes, in their eyes, humans were no more than lumps of fresh meat. 15 minutes passed in that way. Yi Han screamed. A worm had snatched her sword. Chapter 27:17, Critical Moment 4. Chapter 27:17, Critical Moment 4. The worm's teeth were so sharp that it chewed on the sword and swallowed it. It ate the sword. If it could eat metal without difficulty, what about human flesh? Everyone paled. Yi Han was still shocked when a worm bit down on her neck. Yi Han reacted quickly enough. The worm missed her neck and bit her on the shoulder. It buried its teeth in her flesh, and blood gushed out. Needless to say, it was excruciating. The worst thing was that the worms also fed on rotten meat they found underground, and their saliva was poisonous. Yi Han was terrified and screamed at the top of her lungs. Before long, Shan Jingfei was injured as well. A worm bit her on the calf. She screamed and kicked the worm away, but it was too late. Her calf was swollen, and the affected area was expanding. Shan Jingfei felt dizzy. Was she going to die? More people were injured and fell. The situation was becoming more serious. Just then they heard a strange chewing sound. What's that? Yi Han was resting, and she cried out when she heard it. She searched for the source of the noise. What she saw terrified her. Because it was coming from the walls. The tunnel was only wide enough for one person to pass through, and it had helped to block the worms out. However, they were gnawing on the stone walls now. They were creating large holes in the walls now. To be more precise, they had widened the tunnels. Multiple tunnels led to the place the students were in, and when the openings were widened, the tunnels combined into one. The space had opened up. Shan Jingfei and her friends turned ghastly pale. They trembled from head to toe and thought they were going to die here. Even members of Xueqing team seemed frightened. The worms made gloating sounds as they crawled toward their meal. I don't want to die, Yihan screamed. Shan Jingfei tried to contact Qiuziyu, but here in the mine, they were completely cut off from the outside world. Can someone help us? I don't want to die. If someone can save us, I promise I'll do whatever I can to repay them. However, nobody answered their distress call. 50 worms. 100. 200. It was as if all the worms in the mine were moving toward them. Shan Jingfei and the others lost all hope. They had never been so close to death before. The inevitable was about to happen. Hey! They suddenly heard a different sound. They looked up. They then saw a colorful bird that was only the size of a fist. It landed on Shan Jingfei's head. Chapter 27:18 Thief 1. Chapter 27:18 Thief 1. Everyone stared at the bird on Shan Jingfei's head. Isn't that Feng Wu's bird? What's it doing here? Why is it on Shan Jingfei's head? What does it want? Shan Jingfei couldn't see it, but she knew something was on her head. Of course, she wouldn't let a bird stand there. It was so humiliating. She wanted to brush the bird away. However, she was feverish from the worm's toxin and was too weak to lift a finger. What kind of bird was that? Meanwhile, the bird was looking at the worms. The spirit stone worms weren't intimidated at first. They even glared at little Phoenix. However, the bird then did something else. Everyone heard the sound of flowing water. What was that? They looked at one another in bewilderment. Then it occurred to them. OMG! It was that bird. It had peed on Shan Jingfei's head. The pee was actually meant for the worms. But still it was unbelievable. Yihan stared at Shan Jingfei in astonishment. Shan Jingfei had no idea what had happened until she picked up the smell. The stench. Shan Jingfei was furious, but she felt so weak that she was close to fainting. Get it off me. Kill it. She bellowed. Cheng Fang said, No, don't do that. It's Feng Wu's bird. Feng Wu. Her again. That name made Shan Jingfei want to throw up. What happened next infuriated her further. Feng Wu showed up. She effortlessly made her way through the worms, finishing each worm with a single blow. Little Phoenix flew away from Shan Jingfei and went to help its master. Soon, Feng Wu killed most of the worms surrounding the team. They were amazed by her speed and skills. They were also still amazed by the bird, and by the time they looked around them again, they saw that the ground was covered in dead worms. Feng Wu turned to Yi Hongsxue. Could you help me pick up the crystal cores, please? She had saved Yi Hongsxue's life once, and Yi Hongsxue was glad to return the favor. Plus, Feng Wu had just saved them again. Yi Hongsxue summoned her team. Together, they picked up all the crystal cores for Feng Wu. Feng Wu didn't come here just to save Shan Jingfei. She wasn't that nice. She realized she hadn't obtained enough crystal cores to make first place or support her future cultivation. Therefore, she had come all the way here to harvest some more. She drew out her fallen star sword and activated the 3 stances and ground control. As if they were put under a spell, the worms remained motionless while Feng Wu cut them down one after another. Their bodies were scattered all over the ground. It was efficient. Feng Wu killed over 100 worms in less than 5 minutes. The others were amazed. Why did the worms just remain still and let Feng Wu kill them? Chapter 27:19 Thief 2. Chapter 27:19 Thief 2. We can't just sit here. Shan Jingfei had recovered some strength, and an idea suddenly struck her. If Feng Wu took all the crystal cores here, she would probably become first in this hunt. However, Shan Jingfei was supposed to have secured that place. Therefore, she knew she had to intervene. If they all started killing the worms, Feng Wu wouldn't be able to claim all the crystal cores, and everyone would take a portion. That was Shan Jingfei's plan. Despite still feeling weak, Shan Jingfei charged at the worms. But she couldn't even get close enough. Thump! She ran into an invisible shield and bounced off of it. Not only that, she landed on a dead worm that had its mouth open. Ouch! One couldn't begin to imagine how that would feel. Yi Han and Xian Jishuan rushed to her side and tried to drag her out. It was probably because they also felt weak, but it took them forever to drag Shan Jingfei from the slimy mouth of that worm. Xian Jishuan feigned a cheerful tone. You were so lucky, Jingfei. The worm was already dead when you fell into its mouth. Otherwise, Shan Jingfei shook with rage. She ignored Xian Jishuan and just stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu was still cutting down spirit stone worms. The worms didn't even try to dodge, and they let Feng Wu slice them open. There were so many crystal cores. Why couldn't I get to her? Shan Jingfei wondered. Yi Hongxue walked past her at that moment and gave her an indescribable look. Seeing Yi Hongxue, Shan Jingfei shouted, Hongxue, give me a hand. Yi Hongxue was baffled. Shan Jingfei said, Come here. I'm going to fall. She decided that Yi Hongxue should serve her instead of helping Feng Wu. She thought Yi Hongxue would come to her as soon as she made the request. However, Yi Hongxue only rolled her eyes at her. She then ignored Shan Jingfei and walked toward Feng Wu. She didn't even say a word to Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei had never been so angry in her life. She stared at Yi Hongxue from behind and said in a threatening tone, Yi Hongxue, are you going to disobey me? Yi Hongxue stopped. Shan Jingfei laughed inwardly, thinking that Yi Hongxue had to listen to her after all. She shouted at Yi Hongxue, Give me all the crystal cores you have. Yi Hongxue turned around and looked at her in resignation, wondering when this princess would face reality. Shan Jingfei took her reaction for fear, so she stared at Yi Hongxue and urged, Can't you hear me? Give me all your crystal cores. She was going to reap what she hadn't sown, and steal all the crystal cores Feng Wu had worked so hard to obtain. The idea soothed Shan Jingfei. To her surprise, Yi Hongxue said, You idiot. What? Chapter 2720 Thief 3. Chapter 2720, Thief 3. Shan Jingfei couldn't believe her ears. What did you say? Xian Jishuan and Yi Han heard every word. They were shocked. Yi Hongxue took a step forward and stared at Shan Jingfei. I thought that being the top student and class president of Class B, you would be smarter than the others. I see now that calling you a pig is an insult to pigs. What? Shan Jingfei pointed at Yi Hongxue, not knowing what to say. Yi Hongxue could be very mean when she wanted to. Pigs at least have eyes. Where are yours? Are you blind? Shan Jingfei said, You. Yi Hongxue gave Shan Jingfei one last glance before walking away. Shan Jingfei screamed. She was furious. She decided that things were a wreck now, and these people all wanted to take advantage of the situation. What a snobbish bunch. I'll remember this, Yi Hongxue. You won't get away with it. Shan Jingfei was so angry that she couldn't think straight. She jumped to her feet, but no one paid any attention to her. She forced herself to calm down. No, I have to control myself. Screaming like this will only destroy my image. I need to come up with a plan. She looked at the other members of Xueqing team. Coercion had failed, so she had to change her approach. Shan Jingfei told Xian Jishuan, I need you to do something for me. Yi Han stared at Shan Jingfei in astonishment. The girl had been screaming a moment ago, but now, she was perfectly composed. She could control herself so well. What a scary woman. Yi Han felt a chill go down her spine. However, Xian Jishuan knew Shan Jingfei well enough to see this coming. She didn't seem surprised at all. Go ahead. Xian Jishuan nodded. Shan Jingfei whispered something in Xian Jishuan's ear. Xian Jishuan hesitated, but her stomach lurched when she saw the warning look in Shan Jingfei's eyes. She immediately nodded. Yes, of course. Xian Jishuan went to talk to Lin Juncheng, who had always been the more friendly one. Shan Jingfei smirked. Feng Wu, you're about 100 years too young to work against me. Feng Wu had killed all the spirit stone worms frozen to the spot by ground control. The worms further away had all escaped, frightened either by the fallen star sword or by Little Phoenix. They were nowhere to be seen. They had abandoned the bodies of their dead companions. Yi Hongxue counted the crystal cores she had collected. There were 300 in total. Someone stopped her when she was about to give the crystal cores to Feng Wu. Yi Hongxue stared at Shan Jingfei in disbelief. Had she lost her mind? She had told Shan Jingfei that the crystal cores belonged to Feng Wu. Thank you for gathering the crystal cores for me. I'll take it from here. Shan Jingfei smiled. The smile creeped Yi Hongxue out. Shan Jingfei, are you deaf? Chapter 27-21 Thief 4. Chapter 27-21 Thief 4. Shan Jingfei shook her head. No, I'm not. Yi Hongxue asked. So, you don't understand the language I'm speaking. Shan Jingfei chuckled. I bet I know more languages than you do. Yi Hongxue said. In that case, listen carefully. Feng Wu is the one who earned these crystal cores, and she asked me to help her gather them. I'm giving them to her now. Understand? Do I need to repeat it for you? Shan Jingfei was still smiling. Hongxue, I think you're the one who doesn't understand what's going on. Shan Jingfei sounded like she thought everyone else was an idiot. Where did she get that kind of courage? What did she know that other people didn't? The others eyed her suspiciously and wondered what she was planning. Meanwhile, Feng Wu had finished killing the spirit stone worms. Hearing the argument, she came over to see what was going on. She wanted to know what ridiculous thing Shan Jingfei was trying now. Yi Hongxue frowned a little. What's that supposed to mean? Shan Jingfei looked at Lin Junqing and smiled. Do you not know? Yi Hongxue asked. What am I supposed to know? Shan Jingfei said. I told Ziyu earlier that I might run into danger here. So I'm sure when he gave you the mission, that included the request to protect me and make sure I have enough crystal cores to become first. Yi Hongxue said. No, he didn't. Shan Jingfei said. Yes, he did, but you forgot. Yi Hongxue said. No, I didn't. He only gave us one mission. We only needed to get 20 peak class B crystal cores. Shan Jingfei said. Maybe he gave you a second mission. Yi Hongxue said. There was no such mission. Shan Jingfei said. Maybe you weren't the one who accepted that mission. She sounded very pleased when she said that. Yi Hongxue frowned. Shan Jingfei said. Why don't you ask your teammates? Maybe someone else might know. Yi Hongxue rolled her eyes at her. Shan Jingfei said. Maybe Ziyu even specified in the request that you should defeat whoever tries to pick on me. Yi Hongxue laughed. That was pure delusion. Shan Jingfei sounded quite confident. Hongxue, don't laugh. I'm not making it up. Someone told me in person. Who told you that? Yi Hongxue was ready to slap someone. Shan Jingfei glanced at Lin Junqing. Yi Hongxue didn't know what to say. Was this girl dreaming? Shan Jingfei pointed at Feng Wu and said viciously. She offended me. I'm ordering you to kill her right now. Yi Hongxue was speechless. She was astonished. This girl had to be out of her mind. Everyone gave Shan Jingfei strange looks when she pointed at Feng Wu. Shan Jingfei frowned and gave Lin Junqing a warning look. Say something. Lin Junqing smiled bitterly. Why did they have to pick him? Didn't you tell me that Ziyu gave you a second mission? Shan Jingfei stared at him. Tell everyone if it's true. Lin Junqing said hesitantly. Can't we just let it be? Shan Jingfei smirked. Let it be. She had been humiliated. Of course she couldn't let it be. Just tell us the truth. Wasn't the second mission from Ziyu to follow my orders and get back at whoever offends me? Chapter 27-22 You idiot. Chapter 27-22 You idiot. Everyone looked from Shan Jingfei to Lin Junqing. Lin Junqing remained silent. Yi Hongxue glared at him. Answer the question. Shan Jingfei also stared at him. Yes, answer the question. Tell them that Ziyu gave you that mission. She couldn't wait to see what would happen next. She was so confident that Lin Junqing would say yes. To her surprise, when Lin Junqing spoke, he gave her a bitter smile. Shan Jingfei, I'm going to turn down your bribe. Bribe? Did Shan Jingfei try to bribe Lin Junqing? Yi Hongxue and her teammates were already seeing Lin Junqing in a different light, and his reply made them even more suspicious. Yi Hongxue asked, What bribe? Why did she want to bribe you? Shan Jingfei was dumbfounded. She couldn't understand why this was happening. Lin Junqing smiled bitterly. Instead of answering Yi Hongxue, He turned to Shan Jingfei and said in resignation, I didn't want to say it because it would affect your reputation, but you kept pushing me. Shan Jingfei ground her teeth and glowered at him. He had turned her down. Yi Hongxue asked, what did she force you to do? Lin Junqing didn't answer, but Yi Hongxue was smart enough to deduce the truth from Shan Jingfei's past behavior. She asked, did she ask you to make up the story about a second mission? Lin Junqing nodded. Yi Hongxue said, how dumb is she? Lin Junqing said, very I guess. Very? Furious, Shan Jingfei glared at Yi Hongxue. Yi Hongxue only shook her head at her. You're such an idiot. Shan Jingfei's face went scarlet red. This wasn't the first time that Yi Hongxue had called her an idiot. Yi Hongxue didn't know what to say. Is that pretty head of yours just for decoration? Do you ever use your eyes? My entire team working together couldn't hold off those spirit stone worms, but Feng Wu killed hundreds of them all by herself. If the others hadn't fled, she would have killed a lot more. Has it ever occurred to you that she can probably defeat my whole team with a single strike? Shan Jingfei felt as if she had been struck by lightning. That abominable Yi Hongxue. Her words were even more annoying than she was herself. You know we can't possibly defeat Feng Wu, but you tried to send us on a suicide mission. Do you seriously think we are as dumb as you are? Shan Jingfei was utterly speechless. Yi Hongxue was saying nothing but the truth, which was something Shan Jingfei hated to admit. Yi Hongxue ground her teeth. Was that your plan? To drag more people to their doom? If Lin Junqing accepted your bribe and said yes, we would have died because of you. You think too highly of yourself. You, Shan Jingfei retorted. You haven't fought her. Why do you think you can't defeat her? Yi Hongxue shouted. Everybody in my team knows that. Chapter 27-23, You Hypocrite. Chapter 27-23, You Hypocrite. Shan Jingfei said, do you think she's a capable fighter because she killed all those spirit stone worms? That's not her real ability. She then pointed at the urine on the ground. The worms ran away because of this. Feng Wu didn't kill the worms on her own. That ugly bird helped her. Ugly bird? Little Phoenix didn't like that at all. Yi Hongxue said, you're hopeless. Lin Junqing, tell her. Lin Junqing cleared his throat. He and Yi Hongxue had feelings for each other, and he could understand Yi Hongxue's reaction when she heard that Shan Jingfei tried to bribe him. However, Shan Jingfei was a pretty girl, and Lin Junqing didn't want to make things too difficult for her. He smiled wryly. Jingfei, Feng Wu is more capable than you think. Shan Jingfei shook her head. No, she had help from. Yi Hongxue couldn't take it anymore. What help? When my team was attacked by a flame snow lion, Feng Wu saved us all by herself. What? The news shocked everyone else. Feng Wu had saved Xueqing team. Xueqing was a Class A team, and was one of the teams that was above average. That's impossible. Shan Jingfei turned pale, and shook her head repeatedly. You're lying. It's a lie. If Feng Wu could save an entire team, then her cultivation level. Shan Jingfei really felt like an idiot now, when she recalled how she had ordered Xueqing team to give her the crystal cores and punish Feng Wu for her. Yi Hongxue glanced at her in satisfaction. Now you see how dumb you are. Shan Jingfei murmured. She saved your lives, you said? Yi Hongxue said, yep. Shan Jingfei asked, when? When did that happen? Yi Hongxue said, before we fell into this mine. Shan Jingfei shouted, then why did you accept the mission? Yi Hongxue rolled her eyes. If we had known that your rival was our savior, we would never have accepted the mission. Shan Jingfei shouted at Feng Wu. Why did you hide your true ability? Do you enjoy mocking other people? You're such a hypocrite. Feng Wu snapped. When did I hide my ability? Shan Jingfei said. Yes, you did. If you hadn't, why would we have misjudged you? You pretended to be so weak in class. You didn't retort when other people said you're the weakest student in our class. You're so fake. Feng Wu suddenly smiled. Yes, some students said things about my grades, but there was another view, and I think we all heard it as well. What was it? The others said good looks were useless. A true goddess should be like Shan Jingfei, both pretty and capable. They said you're so much more capable than me. didn't they? Shan Jingfei's heart sank. Feng Wu said, however, I believe I already defeated you by then, right? We fought in front of all the tutors of the academy. Chapter 27-24 Slap. Chapter 27-24 Slap. Wow! Everyone stared at Shan Jingfei in astonishment. If that was the case, Feng Wu wasn't a hypocrite. She was only being modest. Shan Jingfei wasn't just proud. She was vain. Xian Jishuan, Shan Jingfei's supposedly best friend, asked innocently, Fei Fei, is that true? The question was like a slap to Shan Jingfei's face. She had thought she had everything under control and had earned everyone's trust. However, she was filled with despair, and the fear of being abandoned almost devoured her. She glared at Feng Wu and wanted to tear her throat open. Feng Wu shrugged. I defeated you in 2 strikes. You didn't have enough time to see my true capability. Shan Jingfei spat out a mouthful of blood. She was so angry. She hated Feng Wu to the bone. Feng Wu glanced at her and shook her head. If only you're as good at accepting reality as you are at bullying people. Shan Jingfei said, Feng Wu, I'm going to kill you. Feng Wu shook her head in resignation. You'll have to get out of this place alive first. Shan Jingfei's face darkened. That was so true. Feng Wu had become the center of this group. Everyone respected her and followed her orders. She was more than capable of trapping Shan Jingfei here forever. Realizing this, Shan Jingfei gritted her teeth. Revenge was a dish better served cold. She could wait. Yi Hongxue went to Lin Junqing and asked, what did she bribe you with? Look at the state she's in. What could she possibly offer? Lin Junqing blushed. I can't tell you. Yi Hongxue pinched his arm and twisted. Ouch! Lin Junqing cried out in pain. That hurts. It concerns a girl's honor. I can't tell you. A girl's honor? As in her chastity. It didn't take a genius to figure out what that meant. Shan Jingfei had struck everyone as an innocent girl before, so Yi Hongxue wouldn't have seen her that way. However, that image had been destroyed, and Yi Hongxue immediately saw what Lin Junqing meant. You bitch. She walked up to Shan Jingfei and slapped her. You have no shame at all. Yi Hongxue shouted furiously. She then went to stand behind Feng Wu. Shan Jingfei was furious. She looked around with bloodshot eyes. You're all picking on me now. Fine. Once I get out of here, everyone who has offended me and those who stood there and just watched will answer for it. I'm gonna kill you all. Let's go. Feng Wu couldn't care less what Shan Jingfei thought. She frowned and said, we shouldn't linger. Let's get out of here as soon as possible. The others all agreed. Feng Wu led the team, and Cheng Fong was right behind her. That was so terrifying. He still remembered the long, dark journey through the tunnels all by himself. He didn't want to go through that again. He decided he would stay close to Feng Wu no matter what. He didn't even try to see where Yi Han was. Xueqing team followed behind Cheng Fong. Yi Han looked at Shan Jingfei and Xian Jishuan before she followed the others. Chapter 27-25 Sacrifice. Chapter 27-25 Sacrifice. The others also hastily followed Feng Wu. Only then did they realize who the leader of this group was. Staying close to Feng Wu was the only thing keeping them from getting eaten by the worms. Xian Jishuan and Shan Jingfei were the only ones who didn't follow their teammates. Seeing the others walk away, Xian Jishuan said hastily, Fei Fei, we should go with them. Shan Jingfei smirked. I'd rather die than go with her. Xian Jishuan wished she could leave Shan Jingfei here. That way, this girl she had always been jealous of would disappear for good. However, despite the jealousy that was eating her up, Xian Jishuan knew Shan Jingfei had to be alive if she wanted to continue freeloading off of Shan Jingfei's privileges. She tugged at Shan Jingfei. This isn't the time to get angry. Remember the saying, where there is life, there is hope. After that, she grabbed Shan Jingfei's hand and dragged her toward the others. Shan Jingfei might have stubbornly said some things, but when Xian Jishuan took her arm, she didn't try to resist. The tunnels were pitch dark and suffocatingly narrow. Are you sure she can get us out of here? Shan Jingfei smirked. How do you know she knows the way? Everyone else had remained silent, and her voice sounded exceptionally loud. No one answered her question. Shan Jingfei complained. She's all safe walking in the front. What if the worms come from behind? She's so selfish. Yi Hongxue couldn't stand it anymore. She looked over her shoulder and threw a dirty look at Shan Jingfei, although no one could see it in the darkness. Can you shut up for a minute? Yi Hongxue said grumpily. If you're so worried about Xiaowu getting lost, don't follow us. Find your own way. Shan Jingfei was speechless. Yi Hongxue went on. You waited for so long before following the team, so don't blame us for leaving you in the rear. Shan Jingfei didn't know what to say. Lin Junqing tugged at Yi Hongxue. I think you've made your point. In Yi Hongxue's eyes, Shan Jingfei was the woman who had tried to steal her man. That was something she would never forgive. She shouted at Lin Junqing. No, I haven't. She was using herself as the bribe. Why should I respect her when she doesn't even respect herself? Lin Junqing remained silent. Shan Jingfei didn't know what to say. The air suddenly felt very thin. All words failed Shan Jingfei, because she had said exactly those words when she sent Xian Jishuan to bribe Lin Junqing. In her current state, there was nothing she could offer to Lin Junqing except herself. Of course, she wasn't actually going to do anything. However, she couldn't deny she had said such things. Yi Hongxue sounded so confident because she had interrogated Xian Jishuan already. Everyone wished they were somewhere else. They wondered if Shan Jingfei would say something in retort to Yi Hongxue. Had she really? Feng Wu spoke at that moment. I think we should change course. What's going on? The others asked. Feng Wu said. Another team is being attacked by spirit stone worms. We can take a detour and give them a hand. Why should we help them? Chapter 27-26, The Reward. Chapter 27-26, The Reward. Why should we help them? Someone abruptly asked the question. Who is it? The others immediately recognized the voice. It was Shan Jingfei. They were all speechless. Yi Hongxue said, You can shut up now. Shan Jingfei regretted it as soon as she blurted out those words. She was quick-tempered and impulsive. When she lost control, she would say anything. However, she would realize her mistake once she calmed down. She didn't like how Yi Hongxue spoke to her, but she stopped herself from saying anything. Soon they heard the sounds of fighting. The team was in an open area connecting two tunnels. They were surrounded by countless spirit stone worms. The team had 5 members. They all had armor on. However, the armor was covered in blood. Dead spirit stone worms were scattered around them. However, the more they killed, the more seemed to gather around them. The place was soon packed. Feng Wu looked from the worms to the 5 teenagers before she turned to Yi Hongxue. The worms will take you all if you get too close. The worms indeed gave Yi Hongxue the creeps. She had yet to recover from her previous experience of facing so many worms. We'll split up here. Go wait for me at the formation core. Feng Wu was going to help those 5 people in passing, but she now realized that it wouldn't be that easy. She would have to fight alongside them. Shan Jingfei smirked before Yi Hongxue could say anything. You're abandoning us then. I knew it. I knew you wouldn't be that kind. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. She couldn't be bothered to talk to Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei had always struck others as a goddess who wouldn't meddle in worldly affairs. However, she completely gave herself up after her true self was exposed. Yi Hongxue gave her a stern look before she turned to Feng Wu. Are you going to save them? Feng Wu nodded. I can't just walk past them when I have the ability to save them. Some of the tunnels had collapsed, and from the higher ground they were standing on, they could see all 5 team members. Yi Hongxue asked, Do you know who they are? Feng Wu said, It doesn't matter who they are. Yi Hongxue smiled bitterly. No, it does. Feng Wu asked why. Yi Hongxue said, They're from the military academy. Feng Wu asked, The military academy? Lin Junqing nodded. The military academy and Imperial College are the top 2 schools in the empire. No other school can claim to be their equal. Feng Wu understood what he meant. It was like the status which Oxford and Cambridge held. The two schools used to be on friendly terms, but the relationship deteriorated because of competition over resources. We've had quite a few conflicts with them. The military academy answers directly to the military, and they've made some impressive achievements over the years. Because of that, the empire has been allocating more and more resources to that school, and our school has shown signs of decline. That's just how we describe the situation. The truth is, Lin Junqing looked at Feng Wu. The truth is that we're no longer as powerful as the military academy. Chapter 27-27, Stand on her head. Chapter 27-27, Stand on her head. Feng Wu said, I see. Lin Junqing said, I believe you may have heard that the allocation of resources for the two schools is determined by the annual martial arts competition. It's open to all schools but our school, and theirs are really the only participants. The school that wins will get mining rights, not to the secret essence mine, but to the cloud essence mine in the Western District. The winner will also get access to the Imperial Cultivation Room. The resources are more significant than you think, because of the mining rights. Imperial College has been winning much less frequently over the years. The military academy has been on the rise, and is catching up to us in all aspects. Feng Wu asked, That was a very long speech. What's your point? Lin Junqing scratched his head. What I'm saying is that I know those 5 people. Feng Wu asked, Are they students from the military academy? Lin Junqing smiled bitterly. I wouldn't have told you all that if they were just ordinary students from the military academy. Feng Wu stared at him. Lin Junqing suddenly asked, The winner of Class B will join the seeded team, right? Everyone nodded. Lin Junqing said, Those 5 people are members of the military academy's seeded team. All eyes were on Feng Wu. Feng Wu frowned. So, Shan Jingfei lost her temper again. She sneered at Feng Wu. Are you going to save them? They're enemies. They're also from the seeded team. Do you know what that means? It means they're the best students in their Class A. You have some ability, I'll give you that. However, do you seriously think you're better than Class A students? You should give up on that idea, before you make a fool of yourself. Feng Wu frowned and glanced at Shan Jingfei. This woman talked too much. Shan Jingfei went on. I don't care whether you live or die. If you insist on saving them, go ahead. I won't stop you. Feng Wu said, I know why you're saying that. You're afraid that if I die, no one will get you out of here. You're scared of the worms. Shan Jingfei was speechless. Feng Wu asked Little Phoenix, Why don't you go with them? Little Phoenix didn't like that idea at all. It tilted its head and thought for a moment. Then it flapped its wings. It landed on Shan Jingfei's head again. Everyone had taken out luminescent pearls by then, and they had enough light to see what was going on. Then, they spotted the bird on Shan Jingfei's head. No, what was it doing? They heard a trickling sound. That sound. Wait, what's happening? Is it raining? Shan Jingfei felt something warm on her hair before she smelled the stench. Wretch! She threw up. She wanted to kill the bird that had peed on her head. However, Little Phoenix immediately flew away. Everyone looked from Little Phoenix to Shan Jingfei. Oh God, the last time it stood on Shan Jingfei's head, it had peed at the worms, but now. Chapter 27-28, The Second Team. Chapter 27-28, The Second Team. Everyone wanted to throw up. They involuntarily stepped away from Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei was so angry that she wanted to kill the bird. Feng Wu didn't have time to waste, and she snapped. The worms won't attack you anymore. Little Phoenix is doing you a favor. A favor? Shan Jingfei glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu nodded. My bird is those worms' big boss. They'll stay away from you when they pick up the bird's scent. You'll be safe. Shan Jingfei wouldn't believe it. She wasn't alone. Yi Hongxue wasn't convinced either. Feng Wu said, We don't have much time, and you should get going. When I detonate all the worms, I'm not sure I can save all of you in time. The thought of all the worms exploding together was blood-curdling. Yi Hongxue hesitated and opened her mouth. In the end, she didn't say anything. She only nodded at Feng Wu. and walked away with Chung Fong behind her. Soon everyone was gone. Feng Wu and Little Phoenix were left on their own. Little Phoenix complained, "My bladder is empty." It patted its stomach and sounded quite sorry. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Feng Wu was wearing the uniform of Imperial College. However, it had become quite dirty after all the fighting. She took a robe out of her storage space and wrapped it around herself. She then headed for the 5 people. Apart from saving those people, she also needed the practice. She had only completed 50% of her breakthrough to the Spiritual King stage. She needed to pick up her pace. She attacked the worms without asking Little Phoenix to pee again. Fallen Star Sword. Ground control. Thump. 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 The worms were frozen on the spot and killed. At first, Feng Wu could kill one worm with one strike. Before long, she could kill 2 at a time. The Fallen Star Sword and ground control worked better and better together, as if they had combined into one. Feng Wu was fighting in the outer circle, and the military academy students were in the center, so they had no idea that she was out there. The seated team they belonged to was also known as the second team. Their clothes were in tatters, and they were covered with bruises and cuts. However, they remained perfectly calm, and were still fighting with all their might. As time passed, more worms kept coming, and they began to feel desperate. Captain Wei. The speaker's name was Lian Xiao. His sword had gone blunt from striking the worms. He could hardly cut through their skin. "Captain, we can't keep going like this. We're all injured, and we won't hold our ground for much longer." Luemo, his teammate, nodded. "That's right. We could die here, and the school won't know what happened." The captain was called Lan Xiefeng. He pursed his lips and asked gravely, "What are you suggesting?" Lian Xiao and his teammates looked at one another before answering the question. Lian Xiao said, "Captain, you're the most capable member of our team. If one of us can get out, it has to be you. We'll cover you and make sure you can get out." The other 3 members all nodded. Chapter 27-29 Contempt. Chapter 27-29 Contempt. Lan Xiefeng knew they would say that, and he wouldn't let that happen. "I'm not leaving you. Dead or alive, we're a team." "Captain," the other 4 pleaded. Lan Xiefeng shook his head. "I won't do it. If you don't go, we'll all die. If you get out alive, at least you can collect our bones later." Lan Xiefeng hesitated for a moment, but shook his head in the end. "No. We'll kill these worms together and get out of here." Lian Xiao sighed. He knew his captain would say that, but who would have thought this would happen after we returned from Peace Grassland? This valley appeared out of nowhere, and we fell into this secret essence mine. Now we have to face so many worms. The others were as full of despair as he was. Luemo screamed at that moment. Everyone looked in his direction. A giant worm had jumped into the air when they weren't looking, and it bit Luemo's left arm. Luemo was taken by surprise. Crack! He immediately sliced the worm in half and freed his left arm. However, he was already wounded. The worm's sharp teeth had dug into his arm, but the blood that oozed out wasn't red. "The worms are venomous." Lu Hao gritted his teeth. "Be careful." They were as capable as they were said to be. Not only did they have tough minds, they also had a high tolerance toward poison. Yi Hongxue and her teammates were from Class A as well, but the venom had still affected their minds. Feng Wu had to give them a potion to neutralize the toxin. However, the worm's bite didn't affect Lumo's movements. As the number of wounds increased, however, they started to get exhausted. Their hands were all swollen. However, they gritted their teeth and kept on fighting. They were drained of spiritual essence, and they were stumbling, as if they could collapse at any moment. However, they still decided to fight until they were dead. Luemo seemed to have lost all hope. "We fought our way out when we were surrounded by Dongsang soldiers. I would never have thought we would be killed by some worms one day." Lian Xiao said, "Where did this secret essence mine come from? How did we get here? I survived the Dongsang battlefield, only to die in my homeland. This is ridiculous." His teammate chimed in. "If I knew this was going to happen, I would have killed more Dongsang soldiers in Peace Grassland. I killed 13. I killed 15. I think Captain Lon killed 30. Guys, we've killed our fair share of enemies. We don't have any regrets. Thump. Lu Mo was the first to fall. He was finally drained of energy, and his legs gave out. Hey, where are the worms going? They've turned away. Lian Xiao caught Lu Mo and dragged him back. He was about to charge at the worms, when he saw that they had all turned in the opposite direction. What did that mean? Was it contempt? Chapter 2730 Fairy. Chapter 2730 Fairy. What did that mean? Was it contempt? Lan Xiefeng and the others looked at each other in astonishment. But it was good news for them. They were barely holding their ground, and the worms had been about to devour them. However, the worms suddenly spun around and ran in the opposite direction. What's over there? Why are they all so agitated? Lian Xiao asked curiously. Just then Ma Hao, who had climbed onto a rock, shouted, "Look! Someone's over there." There was someone else in this godforsaken place. They all climbed onto the rock and looked into the distance. They were shocked by what they saw. It's true. Someone really is there. Look at that speed and the swordplay. Is that a human being? Is she a teenage girl? Can she be a fellow military academy student? Of course not. We would recognize her if she were one of us. We've never had such a capable girl anyway. I think she's as capable as Captain Lon. Lan Xiefeng smiled bitterly. Don't make fun of me. I'm nowhere near as capable as she is. Look. She cut off the heads of several worms in one strike. She makes it look as easy as chopping vegetables. His teammates had to agree with him, because this girl was incredible. She had killed over 100 worms during the short time that they were watching her. She was surrounded by dead spirit stone worms. Her bright red dress was set off against the dead worms. It was almost a disturbing scene. Is she killing the worms? Why does it look like she's dancing? What kind of swordplay is that? Her sword went through 3 worms in one go. Gosh, are you seeing this? She's not killing spirit stone worms. She's training herself. Yes, she's been using the same 3 stances, so that she can hone her skill. At first she could only kill 3 worms in one strike, but she can kill 5 now. It's amazing progress in such a short amount of time. Is she even human? She looks like a fairy. I agree. She's definitely a fairy. A fairy of the secret essence mine has come to rescue us. The 5 teenagers were so glad that they wept. I'm getting a crush on her. Me too. They were so excited that they couldn't form coherent sentences. Somehow, none of them could believe Feng Wu was real. At first, the worms were screeching fiercely. Feng Wu had made an agreement with Little Phoenix that it wouldn't interfere while she practiced her skills. However, it never occurred to either of them that Feng Wu would get lost in her training. She went on fighting. Dead spirit stone worms piled up around her, until she realized that there were no more worms to kill. She finally put down her sword and gradually returned to reality. When she looked up, she saw 5 astonished faces. They were 5 teenagers. Their eyes were wide open as they gaped at Feng Wu. It was as if they were seeing a ghost. Feng Wu frowned and asked Little Phoenix in her head, "How long has it been?" 1 day and 1 night, said Little Phoenix in amazement. Chapter 2731 Spiritual King. Chapter 2731 Spiritual King. Even Feng Wu was astonished. 1 day and 1 night. It can't be. She stared at Little Phoenix in disbelief. How can it be so long? It only felt like 5 minutes to me. Little Phoenix sighed. Because you were in the sword spirit state. Feng Wu asked, the sword spirit state. Little Phoenix nodded. It's extremely difficult to achieve that state, even for my master. Once you're in that state, the results are very rewarding. Feng Wu said, I don't feel all that rewarded. She examined herself as she spoke. Then she abruptly stopped talking. That was because, to her astonishment, she was much closer to reaching the spiritual king stage now. She had only made 50% progress before, but she was at 99% now. She was so close to making the breakthrough. Just then, something clicked in Feng Wu's head. The spiritual king stage. She sat down with her legs crossed and started cultivating in front of the 5 teenagers. There was a huge gap between the spiritual lord stage and spiritual king stage. These 5 teenagers belonged to the second team of Class A at the military academy. That was to say, they were ranked 6th to 10th in the military academy. Lan Xiefeng, the captain, was a peak level 8 spiritual lord, whereas his teammates were advanced level 8 spiritual lords. Feng Wu had just reached the spiritual king stage. The 5 teenagers weren't spiritual kings, but they had met some before and knew what their energy felt like. They had always been led by spiritual kings in Peace Grassland. But now, this girl, she was a pretty girl who was no more than 14 years old, but she was already a spiritual king. OMG, the 5 people looked at one another and didn't know what to say. She wasn't a spiritual king at first, was she? I thought that stage was very hard to reach. I heard you need to be at least 20 years old to comprehend the process and make the breakthrough. Can she really be a fairy from another world? 2 hours later, Feng Wu finally processed all her spiritual essence. The spiritual king stage was as impressive as it was said to be. Although she was only a junior spiritual king, she felt full of strength, as if she could punch through rock. Just then a giant spirit stone worm charged at her. Watch out! It's a spirit stone worm king. Lan Xiefeng cried out to warn Feng Wu. It was the leader of the spirit stone worms. The fleeing worms must have gone back to their leader with the news, which was why the king had appeared. According to Little Phoenix, spirit stone worms were about the size of fleas when they were born. After being stuck here in the secret essence mine for so many years, they had grown larger and larger, until they were as big as grown men. As for the approaching leader of the worms, it moved as fast as a cheetah. Everything happened so fast. Chapter 2732. Are you talking about switching one? Chapter 2732. Are you talking about switching one? It moved as fast as a cheetah. Everything happened so fast. Feng Wu raised a hand and smacked the giant worm on the head. Thump! The worm smashed into the wall. The impact shattered the wall completely. OMG. Am I seeing things? Isn't that worm a spiritual king? What happened astonished all 5 teenagers, and they stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. She was also pleasantly surprised by this breakthrough. She had been here for a whole day, and her friends were still at the formation core. They had to be so worried. She immediately took off. Lan Xiefeng and the others called after Feng Wu when they saw that she was leaving. Miss, please let us thank you. They all dropped to their knees and prostrated themselves on the ground. Feng Wu saw their injuries and tattered clothes, which made her wonder. She asked, "Did you just come back from Peace Grassland?" The teenagers nodded. Feng Wu said, "You're all very brave. Good job." She then handed a paper crane to Lan Xiefeng. "Follow the bird. It'll lead you out of this mine." Before they knew it, she was out of sight. It felt great to walk away from doing a good deed and remain anonymous. Feng Wu chuckled to herself. According to Lin Junsheng, these 5 people were ranked 6th to 10th in the military academy. Imperial College students with the same ranking would be so arrogant. But those 5 were very well behaved. She found them adorable. Lan Xiefeng and his team only realized what had happened after Feng Wu was gone. Our fairy is gone. Just like that. The thought of not seeing her again made them sad. I wonder if we'll ever see her again. I have such a big crush on her now. She's a fairy. Of course we won't see her again. Didn't you hear what she said? She asked if we had come back from Peace Grassland. The sporadic battles between the Empire and the Dongseng Kingdom in Peace Grassland are recent events, and only a few people in the Empire know about them. That's right. Apart from the military, only students from Class B and above in our school and Imperial College are qualified to fight in these battles. That fairy mentioned Peace Grassland, so she has to be human. Not only that, she's also from one of the 2 schools. The 2 schools? Who are you kidding? There's no one like her in the military academy. In that case, is she a senior student from Imperial College? No way. She's a spiritual king. Only the tutors who let us in Peace Grassland were spiritual kings. How can she be a student? Since when did Imperial College have such a capable member? We'll ask around once we get back. She's too impressive to be kept a secret, even if she's a teacher. Look, there are inscriptions on the paper crane. What level are the inscriptions? The paper crane isn't just alive, it can show us the way out of here. They went back to the military academy. The most famous tutor in Imperial College recently. Do you mean Miss Zhuo, the head of the War Academy? Chapter 2733, The School's Reaction. Chapter 2733, The School's Reaction. Things were quite noisy when Feng Wu reached the formation core. Xiao Xiao and the others had waited and waited. They felt uneasy and looked forward to seeing Feng Wu. They didn't have any provisions with them, because they had been in Thousand Night Forest. There were magical beasts everywhere in the forest, and they could roast meat over a fire. There was no need to bring their own food. However, they had never expected to end up in this secret essence mine. By then, they hadn't eaten for days and were starving. Do you have any food on you? Ling Hao asked. All the other team members shook their heads, smiling bitterly. They missed the roast chicken, which they had carelessly thrown away in the outside world. They were surrounded by dead spirit stone worms, but no one could bring themselves to eat those things. They could only stay in the circle, and didn't dare venture out. They waited and waited. They thought Feng Wu would come back when they finally saw Yi Hongxue and the others. After that came more waiting. But Feng Wu was still nowhere to be seen. They were patient at first, but gradually they became anxious. Do you think something happened to Feng Wu? Huashan paled. He alone knew how well-connected Feng Wu was. The crown prince cared for her. We shouldn't just wait here. Let's go out and look for her. Apart from Shan Jingfei and Yi Han, everyone else went out to look for Feng Wu. However, as soon as they stepped out of the formation core, they were surrounded by spirit stone worms. There were so many worms that the tunnels were packed. They had never seen so many worms before. God, have all the worms in the mine gathered here? They're moving closer. We're their targets. Oh no, we should go back. Xiao Xiao led the others back to the circle. It was big enough for 4 people to stand inside, but there were over 10 people now, and the circle was too small. Everybody get in. Xiao Xiao shouted. This is a protective circle. The worms won't attack us when we're inside. Get in. Feng Wu's team had survived waves of attacks by hiding in the circle, and they jumped back in without hesitation. Yi Hongxue and her team had spent time in Peace Grassland, and were used to following orders, so they jumped into the circle as well. Shan Jingfei didn't like the idea at all. She found the circle too small. It would never fit all of them. You're counting on this thing to stop the worms. I don't buy it. Yi Han shook her head. Apart from Yi Han, Xan Jishuan and Shan Jingfei, everyone else went inside the circle. The circle couldn't take more people either. The worms attacked again. Boom! That was going to be their last attack. The original Worm King was dead, and the worms would compete among themselves until they had a new leader. While the students were trapped in the secret essence mine, the academy was informed of what had happened. Only a handful of students had fallen into the secret essence mine, while most people were lucky enough to remain on the surface. The tutors came to their rescue and brought them back to the school. The school realized something wasn't right when they counted the number of students. Chapter 2734, Chu Tianxiao. Chapter 2734, Chu Tianxiao. The school realized something wasn't right when they counted the number of students. Mr. Yang, how many of your students are missing? Asked Gong Sunmu. Mr. Yang was overwhelmed with anxiety. Many have come back, but a few students are missing, including Shan Jingfei. The other tutors paled when they heard this. Meanwhile, the school officials held a meeting. Over 10 people attended, including the 2 deputy chiefs and the tutors of classes A and B. Shan Jingfei is the best student in Class B. That place in the seated team is meant for her. The Class A tutor told the truth. No one said a word for a while. Miss Qingwan, what do you think? Everybody looked at her. Zhuo Qingwan hadn't made any achievements ever since she became the deputy chief, nor had she said anything convincing. Because of her background, people hadn't said anything at first. However, dissatisfaction would accumulate over time. Zhuo Qingwan raised her eyebrows. Do we know why this has happened? Why did the secret essence mine appear? Gong Sunmu nodded. We've sent some elders to check the area, and found it to be the consequence of the actions of some very capable cultivators. The entire Thousand Night Forest was split in half by a great valley, which was why the secret essence mine surfaced. How capable? Zhuo Qingwan asked. Gong Sunmu smiled bitterly. Well, I can't say for sure. Just then he suddenly straightened his back. He rose to his feet and listened carefully. Everybody was surprised. What was happening? Why did he look like his mind was elsewhere? Zhuo Qingwan was alarmed. Her master had communicated with her several times that way, and she wondered if Gong Sunmu was doing the same thing. Yes, sir, Gong Sunmu said to someone in a respectful tone, before he turned to the others. I know what happened, he said solemnly. The valley was indeed the result of a battle between two capable cultivators. Who were they? Zhuo Qingwan asked curiously. Could it be someone as capable as her master? Gong Sunmu said one name. Chu Tianxiao. What? Almost everyone jumped to their feet. Chu Tianxiao? How can it be him? I thought he was dead. Chu Tianxiao is the greatest swordsman. Isn't he the disciple of Mu Jiuzhou, who used to rule this continent? Oh my god. Mister. Yang almost fainted. He's like a god. Why would he come here? In their minds, Chu Tianxiao was as good as a figure from the legends. He was still alive. How old would he have to be? Zhuo Qingwan paled. Chu Tianxiao. He had once accused Zhuo Qingwan's master of being inhuman in front of everyone, and had rendered her master speechless. He had humiliated Firmament Palace. Why was he here? Chapter 2735 Rescue. Chapter 2735 Rescue. Everyone was surprised by that name. That person was supposed to be a figure from the history books. Why was he here? Chief Gongsun, is that true? Still unconvinced, the others asked Gong Sunmu the question. Gong Sunmu had never been so serious before. He nodded and said, The chief told me himself. Mister. Yang let out a breath of relief. The secret essence mine disappeared for many years, and Imperial College was never able to locate it. That legendary man is the only person who could have exposed it with a single strike. It was rather terrifying to think about. It had only taken that man one strike to expose the secret essence mine, which Imperial College hadn't been able to locate for years. The school knew the area that the secret essence mine was in, but the mine had its own formation, which had been active the whole time. There was nothing the school could do about it. What should we do now? Everyone looked at Gong Sunmu. Mister. Yang said. Shan Jingfei and her 4 teammates are all inside, as well as Xiao Zhao's team. Gong Sunmu asked, Is Feng Wu missing? Feng Wu. Feng Wu had effortlessly defeated Shan Jingfei, and she was the future of Imperial College. Mister. Yang nodded solemnly. Yes, she's inside too. He then handed over the list of names. The 5 members of Shan Jingfei's team. The 6 members of Xiao Zhao's team. And Yi Han. There were 12 of them in total. Just then Mr. Duan of Class A received a message. What? He looked at Qiu Ziyu and cried out. Did you say Yi Hongxi was Xueqing team? Qiu Ziyu had been scared to deliver the news, but the mission he had handed out was recorded in the system, and he couldn't keep it a secret. There are 17 people inside. Mr. Duan's face darkened. Are we going to lose 17 elite students this time? Gong Sunmu's face was livid. Of the 17 elite students, Feng Wu was the most important one. Gong Sunmu gritted his teeth. We have to find them. But how? Mr. Yang frowned. The secret essence mine is protected by a formation. We can't get close enough, not to mention the 80,000 tunnels. We would be trapped inside forever. Zhuo Qingwan was the only person who was happy to hear the news. It had never occurred to her that her archenemy would die so easily. She had been ready for a battle, but her enemy died before she could do anything. It gave her no sense of achievement at all. However, Fengwu was dead, and that was good news. Despite her joy, Zhuo Qinghuan put on a sad face. The 17 students may still be alive. We have to do something. We'll spare no effort. Regardless of whether or not we can save them. Mr. Duan glanced at her, amazed by that little speech. He then turned to Gong Sunmu and asked, "Sir, what do you think?" Gong Sunmu glanced at his subordinate, who quickly walked away. Chapter 2736, Elder May. Chapter 2736, Elder May. Needless to say, the subordinate had gone to get some help. Gong Sunmu rose to his feet and said, "We can't delay anymore. Let's go to the secret essence mine." All the tutors went with him. It was like Mr. Yang had said. Because of the formation, people felt dizzy before they got close to the secret essence mine. They couldn't even stand still. They had to stop when they were several hundred meters away. Things had been calm when Fengwu and the others were still outside the mine. However, the formation had been activated when they went in. The secret essence mine was surrounded by a powerful wind that could cut one's skin open. The area within 100 meters of the secret essence mine had become a meat grinder. "Mr. Gongsun, what should we do?" Everyone looked at Gong Sunmu. Gong Sunmu's face darkened. They couldn't get close to the mine, let alone enter it. Mr. Yang volunteered. "Sir, shall I give it a go?" Gong Sunmu didn't answer. Mr. Yang said solemnly, "Sir, my students are trapped inside, and they're my responsibility. They may still be alive. I can't just stand here and let them die." Gong Sunmu nodded. "Give it a go. Come back here immediately if it doesn't feel right." Mr. Yang nodded. He took a deep breath and commanded the wind, "Stop." Then he charged at the secret essence mine like a shooting arrow. If the wind hadn't been blowing, Mr. Yang could have reached the mine in a split second. But now, as he approached the windy zone, he covered his entire body with his spiritual essence. But he backed away before he could reach the mine. When he returned, the others were shocked to see the state he was in. How did that happen? His face was covered with cuts. So were his hands and his entire body. His clothes were in tatters. He was covered in blood. "Mr. Yang, are you all right?" the others asked in concern. Mr. Yang shook his head. "The wind is too strong. I exerted all my strength, but I still couldn't enter." Mr. Yang was a spiritual king. If even he couldn't enter, the only way is to stop this wind. Mr. Duan frowned. "How? This is a level 8 formation, and we can't stop it once it has been activated. If we could do that, we wouldn't have to wait for so many years." Mr. Yin smiled bitterly. Gong Sunmu was a capable cultivator, but he knew very little about formations and didn't know what to do. "Elder May is here." Gong Sunmu's servant arrived with Elder May. Elder May. The name was a pleasant surprise. Imperial College had more than these tutors and chiefs. The school was full of culture and history, and the tutors alone wouldn't be able to support such a complicated system. Imperial College had 36 mysterious elders in total. Chapter 2737, Elder May's Arrival. Chapter 2737, Elder May's Arrival. The elders lived in the deepest corners of the campus and hardly ever came out. They would only make an appearance when they found a student they were interested in. Elder May was one of the mysterious elders. The teachers were familiar with him because he was in charge of maintaining Imperial College's formation. Of course, ordinary students still didn't know who he was. Master. A middle-aged man stepped out from behind Mr. Duan. He was Mr. Su, who taught formations and inscriptions in Imperial College. Elder May used to be his teacher. Mr. Su worked in the War Academy, whereas Mr. Wu, whom Fengwu had met, taught formations in the junior years. Mr. Su had tried to solve the formation in the secret essence mine, but he couldn't comprehend any of it, and had to ask Elder May for help. If Elder Mei didn't know what to do, no one would. Although Gong Sun Mu was the vice director of the War Academy, he was only in charge of daily errands. All of the 36 elders were more senior than him. Zhuo Qingwan had become a vice chief because Zixuan recommended her before her voluntary retirement, and also because people believed her to be Jun Lingyuan's future wife. However, to become an elder, one had to have adequate capability and seniority. One's connections didn't matter. Gong Sun Mu's career path would lead him toward becoming an elder one day. Elder Mei walked toward them at an unhurried pace. Despite his old age and white hair, he had a youthful complexion and seemed to be in high spirits. Elder Mei. Everybody greeted the old man. They hardly had the chance to meet such a prominent figure. Elder Mei nodded and waved them off, caring little for formality. Zhuo Qingwan was thrilled to see Elder Mei. She had learned formations and inscriptions in Firmament Palace. Her tutor had instructed her to become acquainted with Elder Mei when she came to the imperial capital, and to learn formations and inscriptions from him. She had come to the War Academy as a vice chief, not only to humiliate Feng Wu, but also to try and meet Elder Mei. Her eyes lit up when she saw the old man. She quickly stepped forward and greeted him. "It's an honor to meet you, Elder Mei." All Elder Mei cared about now was solving the formation in the secret essence mine. He frowned a little when a pretty teenage girl suddenly blocked his way. To someone so obsessed with formations, every face was the same as the next, and Zhuo Qingwan's stunning looks didn't leave an impression on him. He only nodded before turning his attention to the secret essence mine. His top priority was to stop the wind. He could only reach the entrance after the wind stopped. After that, he would have to face the intricate tunnels in the mine. Meeting Elder Mei was such a rare chance that Zhuo Qingwan desperately wanted to impress him. She was displeased when Elder Mei ignored her. She had always been the center of attention. All her seniors appreciated her talent, and no one had ignored her like this before. Chapter 2738, The Crown Prince's Fiancé. Chapter 2738, The Crown Prince's Fiancé. Zhuo Qingwan took another step forward and beamed at the old man. "I'm Zhuo Qingwan." However, Elder Mei cut her off impatiently and scolded her. "What's your problem, young lady? Can't you see how busy I am? I don't have time to exchange pleasantries. Out of my way." No one had ever spoken to Zhuo Qingwan like that before. The old man made her sound like an unruly child when she was, in fact, the sacred lady of Firmament Palace. "Even my master, the head of Firmament Palace, has never talked to me like that, you old fool," thought Zhuo Qingwan, her face twisted with rage. Ahem. The others looked away in embarrassment. Mr. Wang of Class D had openly opposed Feng Wu, so Zhuo Qingwan had contacted him beforehand and paid him to keep slandering Feng Wu. Seeing what was going on, Mr. Wang stepped out and smiled obsequiously. "Elder Mei, Miss Qingwan is our new vice chief." He tried to remind the old man to show the girl some respect. However, it only made Elder Mei dislike Zhuo Qingwan even more. He didn't pay much attention to her at first, but Mr. Wang mentioned vice chief. "What vice chief?" Elder Mei frowned. Mr. Wang smiled. Chief Zixuan went to Peace Grassland, so she made Miss Qingwan the acting vice chief. "Miss Qingwan is very capable." "Nonsense." Elder Mei cut him off. "If Zixuan is absent, it's the school who decides who will replace her. She's just a vice chief. She has no right to hand out job offers." Everyone fell silent, and Zhuo Qingwan felt mortified. Elder Mei turned to Gong Sun Mu. "Is this how you've been running the War Academy? Do you think the elders are dead?" Gong Sun Mu smiled bitterly. "Miss Zhuo is the sacred lady of Firmament Palace. The master of the palace wrote a letter herself." Elder Mei's face darkened. "Is this place Imperial College or Firmament Palace? Since when can her letter guarantee a position in our school? Are they handing out random job offers now? This is preposterous." Elder Mei bellowed. "You people are making a mess while the elders are focused on Peace Grassland. Are you trying to give us a heart attack?" "No, it's not like that." Gong Sun Mu tried to explain himself. However, Elder Mei wouldn't let him. "The chief is cultivating in seclusion. and the 36 elders are either in seclusion or watching Peace Grassland. I thought you could run the school properly, but you've disappointed me. Seeing Zhuo Qinghuan's pale face, Mr. Wang said awkwardly. It was His Royal Highness Elder Mei. His Royal Highness gave the order to make Miss Qinghuan vice chief. What? Elder Mei frowned. Jun Linyuan. Elder Mei might not trust Gong Sun Mu, but he had faith in the Crown Prince. Did he say so in person? Elder Mei wasn't convinced. The Crown Prince had some questionable taste in women. However, Mr. Wang sounded very convinced when he said, yes, Miss Qinghuan is His Royal Highness's fiancée, and they're going to get married soon. Zhuo Qinghuan's stomach lurched. Chapter 2739, Ancient Skills. Chapter 2739, Ancient Skills. Miss Qinghuan, isn't that right? Mr. Wang smiled at Zhuo Qinghuan. Zhuo Qinghuan didn't know what to say. Yes, when she came to the War Academy, she had arranged people to spread rumors about her relationship with the Crown Prince. However, the rumor was just that they were a couple, and never said anything about them being engaged, let alone getting married. Mr. Wang's question put her in a difficult spot. She could deny the rumors if she was questioned. She could claim that she was also a victim of the rumors and knew nothing about it. However, if she said so now, it would be very difficult to deny what she said later. Miss Qinghuan, isn't that right? Mr. Wang repeated his question. He thought anxiously, what's wrong with Zhuo Qinghuan? She told me she was His Royal Highness's fiancée when she visited me. Despite her frustration, Zhuo Qinghuan said shyly, it's my parents' decision. I don't know anything about it. The others knew what she was implying. That was as good as tacit acknowledgement. Elder Mei studied Zhuo Qinghuan for a long time, but he looked disappointed in the end. Jun Linyuan is supposed to be a clever man. Why did he make such a stupid mistake? He should know better. Elder Mei mumbled as he went back to studying the formation. However, what he said was a hard blow to Zhuo Qinghuan's ego. Her face turned livid. How dare that old fool humiliate me? When I marry His Royal Highness, I'll kill him, Zhuo Qinghuan thought to herself. Elder Mei seemed to have sensed her resentment, because he suddenly looked up. It happened so fast that Zhuo Qinghuan didn't have time to hide the hatred in her eyes. Elder Mei saw the murderous look in her eyes. Elder Mei's face darkened. What's that boy thinking? Why her? I have to talk to him. However, his top priority was the formation. The wind formation was complicated, but Elder Mei was still able to crack it. A few hours passed. Suddenly, the wind abruptly stopped. It stopped. The wind is gone. Elder Mei is amazing. Elder Mei is the only one who can crack it. He must be a level 7 formation master. Elder Mei rolled his eyes. He had been a level 8 formation master for a very long time already. After that little episode, Zhuo Qinghuan had given up on pleasing Elder Mei. However, when she saw how capable he was, she was intrigued again and wanted to learn formation and inscription skills from him. She recalled what her master had told her once. The Zhenwu Empire was a vast country with so many talented people. But why was it so difficult for it to defeat the tiny Dongseng Kingdom? Why had they been stuck on Peace Grassland for so many years? Formations and inscriptions. Those were the reasons. The Dongseng Kingdom was far more advanced than the Zhenwu Empire in these ancient skills. Chapter 2740, I can't. Chapter 2740, I can't. Soldiers of the Dongseng Kingdom all had inscriptions on their weapons and uniforms, which greatly enhanced their capability. Their power was also enhanced by the formation their troops used. Because of that, the Zhenwu Empire couldn't make any advancement in Peace Grassland. If they hadn't continually sent talents to Peace Grassland every year, the Zhenwu Empire would have lost the battle a long time ago. Zhuo Qinghuan's master had asked her once, "Do you know what the Zhenwu Empire is lacking?" Zhuo Qinghuan said affirmatively, "Formation masters and inscription masters." The head of Firmament Palace nodded. "Yes, they're the most scarce talents in the Zhenwu Empire. You need to have adequate talent if you want to marry Jun Linyuan." So you have to train yourself in these two aspects. It'll give you much more of an advantage. Zhuo Qingwan had been searching for people with such talents, but had so far come up empty. She had been researching these fields as well. However, the true phoenix blood didn't give her much help on that front, and she wasn't much more efficient than ordinary cultivators. She stared at Elder Mei, and was determined to become his disciple. Elder Mei didn't know he was being watched. He was standing at the entrance of the secret essence mine, trying to find his way in. Feng Wu and the others got in so easily, because the mine had just been activated, and the wind hadn't started up yet. It was much more difficult to open the entrance now. Time slowly passed by. Meanwhile in the mine, the students were under attack. Oh my God! What should we do? Have all the spirit stone worms gathered here? Are we going to die? They all panicked. The worms were flooding in, and they were panic-stricken. Shan Jingfei, Yi Han and Xi and Jixuan wouldn't get into the circle at first. When Xi and Jixuan saw the endless stream of worms, she paled and jumped into the circle. The circle wasn't too big, and there were so many students inside already. People pushed up against one another. They swayed, and some almost fell. Since they were all classmates, no one tried to push Xi and Jixuan away. Those standing in the center even stood on one foot. Shan Jingfei smirked. Do you seriously think that circle will work? Xiao Xiao frowned. It has protected us so far. You have to trust Feng Wu. Yi Han, come here. Yi Han shook her head. No. She would have joined them if Xiao Xiao hadn't mentioned Feng Wu. But he had, and she would never admit defeat. She refused to step into the circle. The worms were approaching them at high speed. They looked like a tidal wave. The first few worms charged at Shan Jingfei and Yi Han. They finally burst into tears. Help us! Help! The others would have helped them, but that was before they realized how impossible Shan Jingfei and Yi Han were. They couldn't save the two girls even if they wanted to. Cheng Fang asked, What should we do now? They're surrounded. Should we help them? The others all stared at him. Do you want to go? Cheng Fang paled and shook his head. I can't. I really can't. He had learned from his lonely journey with the crane. He knew better now. Lin Junqing asked, Why aren't the worms attacking us? Why them? Chapter 2741, Evil Deed. Chapter 2741, Evil Deed. Xiao Xiao said, That's because we're in this circle. Lin Junqing wasn't convinced. Does this circle really work? Xiao Xiao glanced at him. Why do you even ask? Why do you think we're all squeezed into this circle? That made sense. Lin Junqing asked, How does this circle work? Lin Junqing patted him on the shoulder. You weren't here. The circle contains Boss Phoenix's thing. Lin Junqing said, Do you mean P? Ling Hao said, Yes. Don't give us that look. It's the most precious thing. The worms will do anything to avoid it. Lin Junqing said excitedly. Then Shan Jingfei is fine. Didn't that bird pee on her head? The worms won't attack her. Yi Hongxue snapped. No, they will. Didn't you see what Shan Jingfei did with our precious water? She washed her hair. She washed off the smell. What? Everyone was shocked. They all looked at Shan Jingfei. Yi Hongxue was right. Shan Jingfei's hair was damp and had obviously been washed. How can she be so stupid? That pea could have saved her. The worms were already on the two girls. Yi Han screamed. Help me. Cheng Fang couldn't bring himself to ignore her. He untied his belt, threw it at Yi Han to wrap it around her waist, and pulled her toward the circle. Xiao Xiao and the others helped him. The circle was small, but it might be able to fit all of them if they stood very close. Shan Jingfei catch. Someone else copied what Cheng Fang did, and threw a belt at Shan Jingfei. It was none other than Yi Hongxue. She was angry at Shan Jingfei for her despicable behavior, but in a life-and-death moment, she chose to save the girl. Although the circle would barely fit another person, Yi Hongxue thought they might be able to make a little room for Shan Jingfei. However, something happened the next moment. Shan Jingfei grabbed the belt and yanked. Yi Hongxue was dragged out of the circle, while Shan Jingfei used the momentum to land in it. Everything happened so fast that no one had time to react. Yi Hongxue only realized it when she was outside the circle. Her eyes widened while she was in mid-air. She had tried to save Shan Jingfei. How could Shan Jingfei do this? Yi Hongxue. The others couldn't believe their eyes. Lin Junqing was so furious that he wanted to push Shan Jingfei out of the circle. Shan Jingfei said matter-of-factly, "She volunteered to help me. I didn't ask for it. What now? Are you going to murder me?" Yi Hongxue landed with a thump amidst the dense pack of worms. Lin Junqing went frantic. He wouldn't let anyone stop him, and charged out of the circle. Lin Junqing calmed down. The others tried to stop him, but it was too late. The last thing they saw was Lin Junqing rushing toward the worms. Everyone glared at Shan Jingfei. Chapter 2742 Feng Wu's Back. Chapter 2742 Feng Wu's Back. Shan Jingfei said innocently, "I didn't tell Lin Junqing to leave. He did it voluntarily. You can't blame me for that." The others were furious. How could this woman be so evil? They used to see her as a kind, lovely, and innocent girl. Her true self was revolting. The other wanted to help Lin Junqing and Yi Hongxue, but the worms blocked their view. "I'm going to kill you." Xue Hao and his teammates pushed Shan Jingfei toward the edge of the circle. At that critical moment, all of a sudden, the worms seemed to sense danger and began to flee. They were soon nowhere to be seen. Everyone was speechless. What was going on? Why did the worms? Is Boss Phoenix here? Ling Hao was thrilled. He was right. The next second, they saw Feng Wu with the bird on her shoulder. Feng Wu, Little Phoenix. Xue Hao, the former captain of Xueqing team, burst into tears when he saw Feng Wu. Feng Wu asked, "What's wrong? Boss Feng Wu, is it really you?" Ling Hao and Huashan ran toward her. Feng Wu was perplexed. "Yes, it's me." Ling Hao said, "Please help Yi Hongxue. Now." Yi Hongxue. Feng Wu turned around and saw Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing lying on the ground. She frowned and said, "Didn't I tell you to get into the circle? Why weren't they inside?" Xue Hao pointed at Shan Jingfei and sobbed. It was her. Feng Wu paid little attention to Shan Jingfei, because she was examining Yi Hongxue. "Is she still alive? Can you save her?" Xue Hao ran to her side. Feng Wu frowned when she saw Yi Hongxue. The worms had sharp teeth, and Yi Hongxue had been surrounded by them. Yi Hongxue had chunks of flesh missing from all over her body, and she was covered in blood. The worm's saliva was toxic, which was why she was a purplish color. All life seemed to have left her. Feng Wu checked her breathing. How is she? Once the worms were gone, all attention was on Yi Hongxue. Feng Wu shook her head. She's not breathing. That was to say, is she dead? Xue Hao realized what that meant. I'm going to kill Shan Jingfei. Let me kill her. We told her to get in the circle, but Shan Jingfei wouldn't listen. The worms then arrived, and Yi Hongxue felt sorry for Shan Jingfei, so she threw out one end of her belt. No one knew Shan Jingfei could be so evil. She dragged Yi Hongxue toward the worms, while she used the momentum to get into the circle. Shan Jingfei, I'm going to kill you. Shan Jingfei knew no one would be on her side, so she stopped pretending. Chapter 2743 Alive. Chapter 2743 Alive. Shan Jingfei gritted her teeth and smirked. There was no space in the circle. If she didn't come out, how would I get in? If you must blame someone, blame the person who drew it for making it too small. Everyone was speechless. Little Phoenix couldn't believe its ears. Is she blaming me now? Xue Hao was furious. He looked at Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing. Not only had they been killed, chunks of flesh were also missing from their bodies. He felt indignant on their behalf. You killed them. Shan Jingfei, I'm going to kill you. Xue Hao charged Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei shouted, Are you going to beat up a woman now? Xue Hao paused a little. Everyone looked at him. She had a point. It felt wrong to watch a man beat up a woman. However, Xue Hao was too angry to care about that. His fist landed on Shan Jingfei's nose with a loud thump. What? The pain made Shan Jingfei's eyes tear up. She looked at Xue Hao in disbelief. How dare you hit me? She was the favorite daughter of her family, and all boys doted on her. However, this brute had just hit her. Xue Hao, are you out of your mind? Shan Jingfei screamed. No, I'm not. I'm going to kill you. Xue Hao raised his fists again. The once goddess of the class was turned into a punching bag. Thump, thump, thump. Soon blood covered her face. She was completely baffled. She was being beaten up. A boy was hitting her. She felt the world had gone insane. If Yi Hongxue hadn't been killed, someone would have tried to stop Xue Hao because they all had kind hearts. However, they saw what had happened to the last person who had shown some kindness. Shan Jingfei was a vicious person who wouldn't hesitate to push other people off the cliff. No one would be dumb enough to help the ungrateful girl again. All Fengwu cared about were Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing. Ling Hao said, Are Hongxue and Junqing dead? Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing had lost chunks of flesh and a lot of blood. Together with the toxin from the worms, they couldn't possibly still be alive. Everyone wanted to kill Shan Jingfei. Fengwu took action. She was as amazing as any supreme-level medicine refiner. Pale green dots of light floated out of her fingertips. That light! Several people here had seen her use it before and knew her to be a supreme-level medicine refiner. They weren't astonished this time. However, not all of them knew that. Exa and Jixuan and Yi Han were seeing it for the first time. They almost jumped to their feet when they saw Fengwu's medical skills. Gosh! A supreme-level medicine refiner. Even Shan Jingfei, who was taking a beating, saw what Fengwu was doing. Supreme level. It was a shocking fact. The blood on Yi Hongxue turned from purple to red when the green light touched her. And the missing chunks of flesh grew back as they watched. Had Fengwu just brought someone back from the dead? How terrifying. Soon, Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing's injuries were scabbed over, but they were still unconscious. Fengwu told Ling Hao, Make 2 stretchers. Chapter 2744. The Price of Kindness and Foolishness. Chapter 2744. The Price of Kindness and Foolishness. Ling Hao nodded and went with Huashan to make the stretchers. Boss Fengwu, are they? The others looked at Fengwu. They had thought that Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing were dead, but they looked like living people again. Are they alive? Someone asked the question. Fengwu nodded. They'll live, but it'll take them a few hours to wake up. Yes, they were alive. They each barely had half a body left, yet Fengwu was able to save them. Was she even human? Fengwu walked up to Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei cringed, involuntarily feeling intimidated. She paled when Fengwu looked at her. Is she going to kill me? Does she want to take revenge for Yi Hongxue? The others also thought Fengwu wanted to kill Shan Jingfei. Before, many of them would have begged Fengwu to forgive Shan Jingfei, but no one said a word now. Not even Exa and Jixuan, her BFF, said anything. Shan Jingfei's face went ghastly pale. However, to everyone's surprise, Fengwu only patted her on the cheek. I do want to kill you, but it's not my call. Yi Hongxue tried to save you, but you almost killed her. That was the price of her kindness and foolishness. Therefore, she'll be the one to give the verdict in the end. Shan Jingfei was still pale after Fengwu said that, but she secretly rejoiced. She would get back at Fengwu as soon as they left the secret essence mine. Tie her up, Fengwu said casually. She was the leader of the team now, and even the Class A students wouldn't question her command. Xue Hao and his teammates hated Shan Jingfei to the bone. As soon as they heard Fengwu's order, they rushed toward Shan Jingfei and tied her up. Let's go. Fengwu led the way. The others followed her. They felt uneasy when she wasn't around, because they felt like they had lost their way. Now that she was back, they knew that Fengwu would show them the way. Even Fengwu herself probably hadn't noticed that she was a natural leader. The secret essence mine was a tough problem even for Fengwu. To get out, she needed to do some careful research. Luckily, she had the bird. It had supervised the workers when the mine was built, and still remembered the mine's layout. With Little Phoenix's help, Feng Wu could lead them to the exit while studying the layout of the mine. The bird was talking to her in her mind. So in other people's eyes, Feng Wu was leading them out without any effort. Feng Wu said, "Look, that's the exit." Meanwhile, outside the mine, Elder Mei was frowning. The level 8 formation was indeed hard to crack. "Elder Mei, do you have any clues?" Gong Sun Mu asked gingerly, worried about the students inside. Elder Mei shook his head and went on thinking. Zhuo Qingwan had been trying to please Elder Mei so that he would teach her. She stepped out at that moment. Chapter 2745. No Hope. Chapter 2745. No Hope. Zhuo Qingwan shook her head at Gong Sun Mu. "Mr. Gong Sun, please don't rush the elder. I know you think you know a lot about formations, but solving them requires a lot of time. Moreover, this is a level 8 formation, and is especially difficult. It's about as complicated as the one in the War Academy. If this one can be solved so easily, so can ours. Of course that can't be the case." Zhuo Qingwan kept emphasizing how complicated this formation was. Gong Sun Mu shook his head and sighed. "I'm just worried about the students inside, especially Feng Wu. Our school will be in a lot of trouble if anything happens to her." Mr. Wang of Class D snapped. "Mr. Gong Sun, you shouldn't make that claim. Feng Wu is just an ordinary student. Losing her won't make a difference." Gong Sun Mu glared at him. "You know nothing." "Mr. Wang asked, "Does she have connections that I don't know of?" Gong Sun Mu nodded. "Imperial College couldn't afford to offend that person." "Who is it?" Mr. Wang was intrigued. Zhuo Qingwan had a bad feeling, and she stared at Gong Sun Mu. Gong Sun Mu shook his head, not intending to reveal the secret. Mr. Wang tried to goad him. "You don't know, do you?" Gong Sun Mu frowned. "It's his." Zhuo Qingwan's stomach lurched. Fearing that Gong Sun Mu would tell the truth, Zhuo Qingwan cut him off. "Our top priority is to save them, and the rest can wait. Connections don't matter. Everyone in Imperial College is treated equally." Both Zhuo Qingwan and Gong Sun Mu were vice chiefs. Although Zhuo Qingwan was far less capable, she was from an influential family, which put them on the same level in status. When Zhuo Qingwan used a harsh tone, Mr. Wang didn't dare speak. Everyone turned to Elder Mei again. "Is it still sealed?" "It's been a whole day." Mr. Duan, who had gone back to do some research, came back at that moment, looking rather pale. The others asked what was going on. Mr. Duan frowned. "I looked through some records of the secret essence mine and noticed a serious problem." "What is it?" the others asked. Mr. Duan showed them an ancient book. "Look, it says that in order to clean up the filth in the mine, small spirit stone worms were put inside. Here's something on the worms. They don't need any light. They feed on spiritual stones and can live for hundreds of years. They can reproduce at a terrifying rate. If I've guessed correctly, the secret essence mine is full of spirit stone worms." Mr. Yang asked nervously, "What about the students inside?" Mr. Duan turned pale as well. "I think it had been a whole day. There was no way they could survive in the mine." Everyone turned slightly pale. "There are 80,000 tunnels inside." Mr. Duan sounded desperate. "We don't have any hope of seeing those students again." Chapter 2746. Not Fair. Chapter 2746. Not Fair. Everyone looked at Elder Mei. Elder Mei was frowning. Mr. Duan asked, "How long will it take to open this door?" Elder Mei shook his head. "The formation is very complicated. It'll take me at least 7 days." 7 days. Before he could say another word, he sensed a force inside the mine. Crack! The heavy bronze door rumbled. Everyone jumped. What the hell? They looked at one another, and all of them moved away from the door. "Elder Mei, what's going on?" Mr. Yang asked. Elder Mei was as confused as everyone else. Seeing the look on Elder Mei's face, Zhuo Qingwan tried to save him from the awkward situation. The secret essence mine has been buried underground for so long. Anything could have happened. I'm sure Elder Mei will figure it out soon. Hearing the crack, Mr. Young was struck by an idea. Can it be opened from inside? Elder May rolled his eyes. Zhuo Qingwan answered for him. The door is locked from outside by the formation. How can it be opened from inside? Elder May nodded. She was right. It couldn't be opened from the inside. Seeing this, Zhuo Qingwan knew Elder May agreed with her, so she scolded Mr. Young again. Mr. Young, please don't speculate when you don't know what's going on. You'll make the others panic. Mr. Young was speechless. But right at that moment, crack, the sealed heavy door. The door that Zhuo Qingwan was so sure couldn't be opened from the inside. It slowly opened as everyone watched. Everybody was astonished. They all looked at Zhuo Qingwan. Zhuo Qingwan was utterly embarrassed. The sound of the door opening felt like a slap to her face. It seemed to take forever for the door to open. Zhuo Qingwan had to live with the humiliation the entire time. Why is it open? She was ready for battle. Are the spirit stone worms coming out? The tutors were all alarmed. Everybody get ready for battle, Zhuo Qingwan shouted. They all copied Zhuo Qingwan and got into position to defend against the incoming enemy. However, they only saw teenage students file out the door. Feng Wu led the way, followed by Xiao Xiao, Huashan and the others. The last person's head was covered with black cloth, and the person was tied up with layers of rope. Everybody outside was shocked. Feng Wu, Mr. Young was the first to recognize her. He ran to her side and grabbed her hand. You're alive. I can't believe it. When he looked past her, he was so excited that he almost couldn't form a coherent sentence. You're all still alive. He was almost in tears. Zhuo Qingwan's pupils contracted when she saw Feng Wu. Feng Wu was still alive. How could that be? Why didn't she die inside? Why was she still alive? This wasn't fair. Chapter 2747. Who did this to you? Chapter 2747. Who did this to you? Elder May was amazed when he saw the students. He had believed the door was sealed and could only be opened from outside. How had these people opened it? Could he have been wrong? Was the door not sealed? While he was considering the possibilities, the others were thrilled. I'm so glad you're all alright. Gong Sun Mu was relieved when he saw Feng Wu. Mr. Yang, do a head count, he told Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang nodded and checked the name list. He sounded worried when he said, We're short one person. Who? The others asked. Just then someone ran toward them shouting, Where's Shan Jingfei? Has anyone seen her? It was none other than Qiu Ziyu, Shan Jingfei's boyfriend. He had come here in a hurry when he received the news, but he couldn't find Shan Jingfei anywhere. He rushed to Xuehao's side and asked, Xuehao, where's Shan Jingfei? I told Xueqing team to look after her. Where is she now? Xuehao was reminded of what Shan Jingfei had done in the mine. His eyes went red, and he was so furious that he couldn't say a word. Look at the stretchers. He glared at Qiu Ziyu. The stretchers? He was referring to Yi Hongxue and Lin Juncheng. Qiu Ziyu glanced at them without paying much attention. He went on asking, Where's Shan Jingfei? Did you lose her? Then he heard a whimper. Everyone looked in the direction of the noise. They saw Cui Ping and Wu Qing, two members of Xueqing team. They were escorting a person. The person was gagged and wearing a black cloth over the head. Because of that, the person could only whimper. Qiu Ziyu found the person's figure familiar, so he pulled off the black cloth. Everybody saw who it was. Fei. Qiu Ziyu's eyes widened when he saw Shan Jingfei. He looked from Xueqing team to their prisoner and was infuriated. He pulled Shan Jingfei away from the two team members and shouted, What do you think you're doing? Qiu Ziyu was a member of the second-seeded team and a top 10 student in Class A. Xueqing team wasn't his match. They couldn't do anything when Qiu Ziyu dragged Shan Jingfei away. Qiu Ziyu removed the rope around Shan Jingfei's wrists and took out the cloth that was in her mouth. Fei, are you all right? Shan Jingfei was filled with resentment and frustration, and she finally found an outlet. She burst into tears and wrapped her arms around Qiu Ziyu. Ziyu, help me. They want to kill me. Please help me. Feng Wu wanted to sigh. She considered herself to be a good actress, but Shan Jingfei's acting was on a completely different level. Shan Jingfei was Qiuziyu's goddess, and it pained him to see her like this. He wrapped his arms around Shan Jingfei and bellowed, "Who did this to you? Tell me." Chapter 2748, How Dare They? Chapter 2748, How Dare They? Qiuziyu wrapped his arms around Shan Jingfei and said sympathetically, "You're such a kind girl. After what they did to you, you're still trying to cover for them. They don't deserve you. How evil are they? How could they do this to you?" Qiuziyu genuinely felt sorry for her. What he didn't know was how much his words disgusted Feng Wu and the others. Shan Jingfei cried even louder. Qiuziyu felt even more sympathetic. Seeing that Shan Jingfei wouldn't name anyone, he turned to Cui Ping and Wu Qing. "Speak." Qiuziyu glared at them. "I'm going to make you pay for what you did to my baby." Wu Qing snorted. "Qiuziyu, just because you're a member of the second-seeded team doesn't mean you can deal out justice. We have rules." Cui Ping chimed in. "There's justice in this world, and evil people will get what they deserve. If I were you, I would take a closer look at the woman in your arms." Qiuziyu had expected them to drop to their knees and beg for his forgiveness, but he couldn't be any more wrong. Feeling the girl tremble in his arms, Qiuziyu patted her on the back and said softly, "Don't be afraid. I'll right the wrong for you. I won't let anyone harm you." After that, he looked at Cui Ping and Wu Qing again. The next second he took action. He reached for Cui Ping's throat. Cui Ping was terrified. He was much weaker than Qiuziyu, and didn't have the skill to dodge the attack. It happened quicker than words could describe. "Mr. Duan stepped in. We don't have time for this. Stop it, all of you." Qiuziyu didn't want to stop. "Mr. Yang, if I don't punish them now, I can't promise what I'll do to them later." "Mr. Duan frowned. Was Qiuziyu threatening him? Cui Ping smirked. Shan Jingfei almost got Yi Hongxue and Lin Junqing killed. "There. I said it." "No, I didn't." Of course, Shan Jingfei wasn't going to admit it in front of so many people. She denied it right away. But everyone heard what Cui Ping said. "Mr. Duan frowned. We'll talk about it later. Don't block that door. It's the entrance to the secret essence mine. Who knows when the wind will come back?" Gongsun nodded as well. "Go back to the school. We'll deal with it later." While everyone was heading back, Feng Wu noticed an old man heading into the mine. "Hey!" Feng Wu stopped him. "Are you out of your mind? Don't you know how dangerous it is inside? You can't go in on your own. There are 80,000 tunnels and countless spirit stone worms inside." Elder Mei gave her a strange look. So did the others. He was Elder Mei. He was a prominent figure of the empire, and a level 8 formation master. How could a student talk to him that way? Zhuoqing Wan was secretly pleased to see Feng Wu make a fool of herself. She thought that Feng Wu was about to die. Chapter 2749 Gift. Chapter 2749 Gift. Everyone gave Feng Wu strange looks. Feng Wu ran to Elder Mei's side. "Stay away from that mine if you don't want to die." Elder Mei smirked. He then glanced at Gongsun Mu. Gongsun Mu intervened. "Feng Wu, this is Elder Mei." Feng Wu said, "I don't care if he's Elder Mei or Elder April. This mine has more than a few formations. If you go in alone, you'll never come out." Elder Mei said, "That is a bold claim, young lady." Seeing that Elder Mei was angry, Gongsun Mu gave Feng Wu a warning look. "Elder Mei knows formations. He's the..." However, Feng Wu cut him off. "I think his knowledge is quite limited." Zhuoqing Wan finally laughed. Feng Wu was more arrogant than she had expected. Zhuoqing Wan couldn't wait to become Elder Mei's disciple. But Feng Wu had criticized the old man. Elder Mei shook his head and walked toward the mine. Feng Wu had no choice but to give him a paper crane. "Since you're so stubborn, I don't have anything else to say. Take this crane with you. If you can't find the way, it'll lead you out of the mine." Elder Mei wanted to laugh. So did everyone else. That was hilarious. Had Feng Wu lost her mind? He was Elder Mei. He was the best formation master in Imperial College. What had she just said to him? Is your formation tutor Mr. Wu? Mr. Su asked Feng Wu. Feng Wu nodded. She nodded because she remembered Mr. Wu was the formation tutor in Imperial College, not that she had learned anything from him. Mr. Su gave her a strange look. I'm Mr. Wu's teacher. Feng Wu nodded. So what? Mr. Su said proudly. An elder may here is my tutor. Mr. Su expected to see a stumped look on Feng Wu's face, and he was ready to hear her apology. But none of that happened. Feng Wu only frowned at him. Zhuo Qinghuang couldn't stand it anymore. Feng Wu, you're so arrogant. I won't let you offend Elder Mei. Elder Mei didn't like Feng Wu at all. Feng Wu was about to say something when Elder Mei entered the mine. Seeing this, Zhuo Qinghuang snuck in behind him. She decided to use this chance to slander Feng Wu with all her might and become Elder Mei's disciple. Even if it was just wishful thinking, Shan Jingfei wasn't feeling as great as Zhuo Qinghuang. After they went back to Imperial College, they were all taken to the chief's office. Gong Sunmu said, You can tell me what happened now. I didn't do anything. Shan Jingfei cried. Why would I harm Yi Hongxue? That's not like me. You're making it up. Cui Ping smirked. Stop pretending and admit what you did. Yi Hongxue wanted to save you, but you returned her kindness with ingratitude. Chapter 2750. Who's the bad person? Chapter 2750. Who's the bad person? Shan Jingfei said. I didn't. The quarreling gave Gong Sunmu a headache. He said to Mr. Duan, let each of them write down what happened. I want all the details. How clever. Feng Wu thought to herself. Gong Sunmu was wiser than she had expected. She glanced at Shan Jingfei and saw how pale she had become. Qiuziyu smirked. Let's do it. The devil is in the details. Feng Wu smiled at him. I'm glad you think that way. Qiuziyu glanced at her. Although Feng Wu was much prettier than Shan Jingfei, he told himself that he wouldn't be tempted. The students sat down around the round table in the conference room. They all started writing. The only exceptions were Yi Hongxue and Lin Junsheng, who were still unconscious. Feng Wu was the first to finish. Shan Jingfei's face darkened, and she glanced at her teammates. Seeing that they were still writing, she calmed down a little. She believed Xi and Jixuan would take her side, because they were best friends. Yi Han was her newest fan, so she shouldn't say bad things about her either. Gu Xingyuan seemed to like her, so he should be on her side too. And there were some others. In other words, Shan Jingfei wasn't worried. She finished hers and handed it in. Gong Sunmu read through all the statements before giving them to the other tutors. He gave Shan Jingfei a strange look. After the other tutors read the statements, they stared at Shan Jingfei in the same way. Mr. Yang glared at her. How dare you? He was furious and disappointed. Shan Jingfei's stomach lurched. What was going on? Mr. Yang started at Shan Jingfei. Tell me the truth. Shan Jingfei said, I. She turned to Qiuziyu for help. Qiuziyu said, Fei, don't worry. I won't let them wrong you. Shan Jingfei gritted her teeth. We set out together. Then Feng Wu found us. She didn't want to help us, but she still did. Probably because she didn't want to get blamed later. She then separated from us when she went to save someone else. The paper crane took us to the formation core. The worms wanted to eat us. Yi Hongxue helped me when I ran into the circle. She was so kind. And she was injured when she tried to save me. I accidentally pushed her out of the circle. She kept glancing at Qiuziyu as she spoke. Qiuziyu thought, she's the kindest girl in the world. He said, Fei, don't cry. I'm so worried about Hongxue. Fei, don't worry. You're such a kind girl. I'm sure Yi Hongxue knows she did the right thing. Right my ass. Shuehao couldn't stand it anymore, and threw a punch at Qiuziyu's face. Qiuziyu was much more capable, but he was taken by surprise. The fist landed on his nose. Chapter 2751, Love the Wrong Person. Chapter 2751, Love the wrong person. Xiao Ziyu raised his hand, ready to retaliate. However, Mr. Duan frowned and shouted, Xiao Ziyu, stop. Xiao Ziyu was dumbfounded. Because of his talent, his tutors had always favored him, and had never scolded him like this. Get your ass down here. Mr. Duan was genuinely angry. Xiao Ziyu rubbed his nose and glared at Xue Hao. He was determined to get back at the boy later. When he walked up to Mr. Duan, the latter stuffed a stack of papers in his hand. Read them. Xiao Ziyu was bored. Why would he believe in those people's stories? However, when he read through the statements, he saw that apart from Shan Jingfei, everyone had told the same story. It seemed they agreed on the same thing. Xiao Ziyu wanted to see who wrote what, but Mr. Duan gave him a stern look. They're all about the same events. It doesn't matter who wrote what. Although Xiao Ziyu didn't say anything, he agreed with his teacher. However, it meant Shan Jingfei wasn't as nice as he had thought. That was an understatement. By the look of it, she was an ungrateful evil woman. The contrast was so great that Xiao Ziyu didn't know how to react. Shan Jingfei grew uneasy when she saw everyone's reactions. However, she remained confident. She believed she had some loyal fans here. Yi Han and Xian Jishuan at least would support her. However, Xiao Ziyu stared at her and asked, Did you really drag Yi Hongxue out of the circle? Shan Jingfei looked at him in disbelief. Xiao Ziyu took a step forward. Yi Hongxue saved you. Did you really try to kill her? Shan Jingfei didn't know what to say. Xiao Ziyu took another step forward and glowered at her. You're so evil. Shan Jingfei backed away as Xiao Ziyu moved closer. It wasn't me. I didn't do that. Shan Jingfei shook her head. I would never do such a thing. I'd rather die than have someone die for me. Ziyu, you know what kind of person I am. Xiao Ziyu frowned and hesitated. But everyone wrote in their statements about how you betrayed Yi Hongxue, your savior. Xiao Ziyu bellowed. What? Shan Jingfei was shocked. Everyone. Did you say everyone? Shan Jingfei gritted her teeth. All of them? Xiao Ziyu said. Yes, everyone but you. Shan Jingfei looked like she had been struck by lightning. That was to say, all her so-called loyal fans had betrayed her. Xian Jishuan. Shan Jingfei gritted her teeth and glared at the girl. Xian Jishuan had made up her mind when she wrote her statement. She knew Shan Jingfei wasn't a worthy friend after she saw what Shan Jingfei did to Yi Hongxue. Feifei, I'm sorry. Xian Jishuan smiled bitterly. Hongxue saved you. But you betrayed her and almost got her killed. I can't lie about that. Otherwise, it'll haunt me for the rest of my life. She bowed, indicating that their friendship was over. Shan Jingfei ground her teeth. Yi Han, what about you? Shan Jingfei stared at her. Do you remember what you said when you came to me? You said you would do whatever I told you to do. You would even sell your soul to me. You've betrayed me. Yi Han shook her head. Jingfei, Hongyue helped you, but you almost got her killed. I can't imagine what you'll do to me one day. Chapter 2752. Inform her parents. Chapter 2752. Inform her parents. Yi Han said, If I get in your way one day, you won't hesitate to kill me. I'm not brave enough to follow someone like you. I'm sorry. She gave Shan Jingfei a bow as well before standing on the side. Shan Jingfei stared at her in astonishment. Even Yi Han had betrayed her. Gu Xingyuan, what about you? Are you going to betray me too? Didn't you say you and Feng Wu were at odds? Didn't you say you would never forgive Feng Wu for ruining your family? Shan Jingfei glared at Gu Xingyuan. Gu Xingyuan felt conflicted. He had wanted to help Shan Jingfei. Otherwise, he wouldn't have joined her team. However, he was bewildered by everything that had happened so far. Feng Wu was his archenemy, but she was beyond his reach. He had thought she was a level 6 spiritual lord, but after seeing her fight, he realized she was at least a level 9 spiritual lord. He wasn't her match at all. She also knew formations and inscriptions. Gu Xingyuan had lost all hope. Shan Jingfei was still staring at him. Gu Xingyuan shook his head. At odds? That suggests that both sides are matched in strength. Do you think I have that kind of capability? Shan Jingfei became desperate. The more people she asked, the more hopeless she felt. Qiu Ziyu asked, "Did you really do that to Yi Hongxue, your savior? Is this who you really are?" Shan Jingfei closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she glared at Qiu Ziyu and said, "Yes, I dragged Yi Hongxue out." Rumble. Those words shattered all Qiu Ziyu's hopes. He pointed at Shan Jingfei and couldn't say a word. In a way, Shan Jingfei was an incredible person. She could pretend to be fragile or kind when she needed to. However, when she was exposed, she became utterly distant. You admitted it quickly enough. Yi Hongxue stared at Shan Jingfei. Shan Jingfei ground her teeth. "You're still alive. I don't owe you anything." Yi Hongxue's voice was filled with hatred. "Do you know what you've done to me?" Shan Jingfei didn't speak. Yi Hongxue said, "You've made me lose hope in people. From now on, I'll hesitate before I save someone. I'll wonder if they'll turn out to be as ungrateful as you. I don't have that unconditional kindness anymore." She took a deep breath. "But I want to thank you, Shan Jingfei. You made me see the world from a different angle. I was so foolish before." Feng Wu felt sorry for Yi Hongxue, but she was pleased to see her change. The incident had been a hard blow to Yi Hongxue, but it had also helped her grow. Feng Wu patted Yi Hongxue on the shoulder. "You're still alive." Yi Hongxue smiled and nodded. "Yes. Luckily, I'm still alive." She then turned to Mr. Yang. "Shan Jingfei must be punished for what she did." Shan Jingfei glared at her. Yi Hongxue glared back. "That look you're giving me means you haven't repented. I won't let you off the hook so easily." Shan Jingfei clenched her fists but didn't dare say anything. "Inform her parents." Mr. Yang turned to Gong Sunmu. "It's not something the academy can handle on its own. We must send for her parents." Chapter 2753, Shan Jingfei 1. Chapter 2753, Shan Jingfei 1. Shan Jingfei ground her teeth. She had always been a good daughter in her parents' eyes. Telling them what happened here would be a humiliation. She looked up and glared at Feng Wu. Had it not been for Feng Wu, things would never have turned out like this. The Shan family wasn't one of the 9 major clans, but it was still an influential one. The parent who arrived at the War Academy was Shan Jixiong, Shan Jingfei's father. It had never occurred to him that his perfect daughter would do something like this, and there was proof and witnesses. Shan Jixiong was petrified. He threw a dirty look at his daughter, and was going to deal with her when they returned home. However, Shan Jingfei stepped forward and looked at Gong Sunmu. "I want to make a request. I volunteer to go to Peace Grassland." Everyone looked at her in surprise. Class B students didn't know much about Peace Grassland. All the students of Class A had been there before, and knew how dangerous the place was. Shan Jingfei said calmly, "I want to go to the battlefield and fight our enemies. I know I did the wrong thing, and I want to repent by giving my life to Hongxue. However, if I die like that, I would be wasting all the resources the school has invested in me. I want to fight the Dongseng soldiers on Peace Grassland. It'll be a good way to spend the rest of my life. I want to stay there for at least 3 years. I'll consider myself a fortunate person if I return alive. If I don't, I won't blame anyone either." Shan Jixiong was astonished. "No, you can't." Shan Jixiong was furious about what his daughter had done, but when he heard her request, he wouldn't let her do that. Peace Grassland is too dangerous. No one can stay there for that long. This is suicide. Shan Jingfei had tears in her eyes as she smiled sadly. "Father, I did the wrong thing, and my crime is punishable by death. If I die in the war, I'll get what I deserve. I'm sorry to have disappointed you." She then dropped to her knees and banged her forehead on the floor 3 times. It pained Qiu Ziyu to see Shan Jingfei like this. He gritted his teeth. "You don't have to." "No, I have to. I did the wrong thing, and I have to take responsibility," Shan Jingfei said firmly. She then turned to Feng Wu. The smile on her face was almost genuine. "Feng Wu, I want to thank you. If you hadn't pointed out my mistake, I wouldn't have realized what I'd done. You woke me up. If you hadn't taught me a lesson, I would still be the stubborn girl who wouldn't admit her mistakes. Thank you." Feng Wu studied her and shook her head inwardly. It wasn't easy to beat Shan Jingfei. Even in this situation, she could still escape punishment by going to Peace Grassland. Once she was there, she would have plenty of chances to stay alive. Moreover, if Shan Jingfei's gratitude were genuine, she wouldn't have made that little speech. She was trying to make people hate Feng Wu. She had done it on purpose. It was incredible. Shan Jixiong and Qiu Ziyu glared at Feng Wu like she had killed all their family members. Shan Jingfei bowed to Gongsun Mu and Mr. Yang. Sir, would you please let me go to Peace Grassland? Chapter 2754, A Twist. Chapter 2754, A Twist. At this point even Mr. Yang was moved. He used to dote on Shan Jingfei, and was utterly disappointed by her true nature. However, seeing that Shan Jingfei was going to take full responsibility, he was proud of her again. That's great. Pleased, he patted her shoulder. I'm so glad that you're brave enough to accept the consequences. It's never too late to correct your mistakes. Shan Jingfei, you're going to be great. Feng Wu shook her head inwardly when she saw other people's reactions. These people were so gullible. How could they be fooled so easily? However, she knew they wouldn't listen to her now. When the others saw Shan Jingfei off, the girl looked back at Feng Wu. She smiled in a provoking manner before she walked away. Yi Hongxue frowned. Is it me, or was that an evil smile? Qiu Ziyu threw her a dirty look. What more do you want? Yi Hongxue, you're still alive. He walked off after that. The last look he gave Feng Wu was rather terrifying. Yi Hongxue was dumbfounded. What did I do? I only asked a question. Shan Jixiong stared at Feng Wu. Miss Feng, I'll remember what you did for my daughter. He left as well. Another threat. Mr. Yang said. Feng Wu, we're all done here. You can leave now. He had conflicted feelings about Feng Wu. Naturally, he was biased toward Shan Jingfei, but he couldn't deny that Feng Wu had done the right thing. Because of that, he couldn't accuse Feng Wu of anything. He didn't like her, and everybody could tell. Feng Wu couldn't care less if Mr. Yang liked her or not. She reminded him. Mr. Yang, it's time to announce the final rankings. Hearing that, Mr. Yang liked her even less. He decided that Feng Wu wasn't as considerate as Shan Jingfei. He thought, she's short-sighted and only cares about her own gains. He glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu was perplexed. What did she do? She only wanted to know the final rankings. Gongsun Mu had always taken Feng Wu's side, so he intervened when he saw that Mr. Yang was angry. Although you ran into some difficulties, I'm so glad all of you came out alive. We need to thank Feng Wu for that. In their statements, everybody wrote about what Feng Wu had done for them. Some went into detail, and others only mentioned it in passing, but nothing could change what Feng Wu had done. What Gongsun Mu said was a reminder to Mr. Yang, who then realized that Feng Wu wasn't an ordinary student. Mr. Yang then went back to the statements, and was surprised by what he read. He had only focused on what Shan Jingfei had done when he read them the first time round. This time he noticed more details. You let everyone out of the secret essence mine. You knew the way out of the tunnels. You understand formations. You know inscriptions too? Mr. Yang showered Feng Wu with questions. However, Feng Wu was a proud girl. It was obvious that Mr. Yang didn't like her, so she had no reason to answer his questions. She only frowned and asked, Can we announce the rankings now? Mr. Yang was furious that he was being ignored. Chapter 2755, The Master Swordsman. Chapter 2755, The Master Swordsman. Mr. Yang looked at Feng Wu and said, We should all learn to be more forgiving. He was hinting to Feng Wu about Shan Jingfei. Feng Wu shook her head. A leopard cannot change its spots. Mr. Yang shook his head. She was too difficult to teach. He missed Shan Jingfei, the obedient girl. Gather everyone on the sports ground. We'll make the announcement. Mr. Yang sounded somewhat disappointed. Hearing that, all the Class B students rushed to the sports ground, and Shueching team was left behind. Mr. Duan asked curiously, "What am I reading here? Did Feng Wu really lead you out of that mine?" Yi Hongxue nodded. "Sir, Feng Wu is much more capable than you think." Mr. Duan was curious. "In that case, are you saying that she's good enough to go to Class A?" Yi Hongxue and her friends gave him strange looks. Shuehao smiled bitterly. "Mr. Duan, you're making fun of us." Mr. Duan was relieved, until Shuehao added, "She's beyond that. I'm sure she'll be among the top 5 students in our class." Shuehao hesitated a little, and turned to his teammates for their opinion. Yi Hongxue shook her head. "Top 5. No, she'll definitely be the best student in Class A." What? Mr. Duan had been amazed by Feng Wu, but when he heard this, he thought the students were exaggerating. He didn't believe them. "Fine." He stopped them with a wave of his hand. "Go back to your class." "Sir," Yi Hongxue asked before they left, "may we ask why the ground caved in?" The information was being kept confidential, but because Yi Hongxue and her team had almost been killed, perhaps they could get an explanation. Mr. Duan looked at Gong Sunmu. Gong Sunmu shook his head. Chu Tianxiao slashed the ground open with a single strike. Chu Tianxiao? Yi Hongxue and the others were surprised. As in Master Chu Tianxiao from our textbooks. Gong Sunmu nodded. The students were astonished. They had assumed that the man had already been dead for many years. However, he was still alive. How old would that make him now? He must be immortal. What kind of power can open up the ground like that? That's so scary. So, that swordsman in white was Master Chu Tianxiao. Gosh, we would have gone out and met him if we knew who he was. Mr. Gongsun and Mr. Duan looked at them in surprise. Did you see the old master? Sir, he wasn't old at all. Yi Hongxue shook her head. Mr. Duan said. So he has been active since the establishment of Imperial College. What does he look like now? I didn't see. Yi Hongxue shook her head. We were too far away and didn't dare move closer. Feng Wu ran to his side though. What? Feng Wu saw him. Did she walk up to him? Mr. Duan was shocked. Why wasn't she killed? Yi Hongxue said. I don't know. I think she even talked to him. Both Mr. Duan and Gong Sunmu were astonished. She talked to him. Doesn't she know how formidable that master is? His master was Mu Jiuzhou, who once ruled the continent. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.